Shit. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. I've screwed myself over again through my own stupidity and incompetence. Hey, welcome to Normal America Show. Host robnoerr. I am considering becoming more of a morning guy. I don't know. My son gets off school at 1 o'clock today, so I want to be out of here by 12:30. So I figured let's start the show early, and so I can get out of here by 12:30. I'm not still muted, am I? I hope not. Uh, that's sort of my stupidity. Thanks, Gigi. I'm an idiot. That's what it comes down to. Um, that's it. I don't really have anything to say. Volume's kind of low. Well, I don't think so. It shouldn't be, anyways. Maybe adjust your volume. I think I should be the same that I always am. Anyways, let's see. Real quick here, I'm checking something. Going to sleep. Going to sleep early. You know, it's a good idea to go to bed earlier, I think. If I could read this, do a peace sign. No. My friend sent me this message from Andrew Tate, X account. I don't know how to find it, so I'll just show it on screen. It says, let me make this loud and clear. If you're a straight man with a girlfriend in 2025, you're gay. And so then my friend who doesn't have a girlfriend is like, whew, narrowly missed that. But then me and my other friend that are on the group chain are married. So we're like, if you're married, if you're a straight man who's married in 2025, are you gay? Are you gayer than if you just have a girlfriend? I don't know. The inner workings of Andrew Tate. I'll never understand some of this. I did. It was congratulations to you that narrowly dodged being gay by having a girlfriend. That would have been a big mess. So congratulations, Gigi. Thanksgiving debate, turkey, ham, or both? Turkey. Ham is Easter. We always had Easter ham. But yeah, you know, there you go. Those of you out there that didn't have a girlfriend, congratulations on not being gay. We got stories for you today. We got a call-in show. Trying to reach our goal of $357. There will be a regularly scheduled 10 p.m. show this evening, too. My goodness. We'll be praying for you, man. Good luck. God will be with you, man. Hopefully it all works out. Yeah, we're trying to get back in the flow of things. So apologies. I'm so far behind on emails and stuff like that. I need to get caught up. It's just been getting back from Nashville. There's not only a bunch of stuff that I have to catch up with streaming and things of that nature, but also then in real life stuff that I've been trying to get caught up with. So, my favorite Thanksgiving food my mom makes. She calls it baked corn. And so it's like corn and it's got like sugar and egg in it. And it's almost like a corn custard. It's phenomenal. It's my favorite Thanksgiving food. I've had other people. I love my mom. I love my wife. They're both fantastic cooks. In fact, my wife's mom is a fantastic cook as well. I honestly, my mom, if you're listening, I have to give the edge on cooking to my wife. Now, baking is another story. My mom is a phenomenal baker. But when it comes to cooking, my wife is very, very good. Having said that, she can't replicate my mom's baked corn. I don't know what my mom does, what her secret is. She's given the recipe to other people. I've had their baked corn. It's not the same. Mom's doing something right. Sweet potatoes, I was never a big fan of. Oh, there, see? Yeah, my wife enjoys sweet potatoes, not myself. I love mashed potatoes, very good. The only problem with turkey is a lot of times when people make it, it's too dry. So you got to go heavy handed on the gravy. But if you make a turkey that like keeps the moisture in, it's very good. Uh, yeah, the secret ingredient, love. I hope my wife's putting love in her food as well. But anyways, let's not fall into stereotypes and have this fat guy talk about food all day. Several stories to talk about. Yesterday in Law and Order, we talked about the Comey case being dropped. We could talk about that a little, but there's some other stories that are like maybe seemingly less important, but I think illustrative of the society we're in that I think is very important to talk about. So, of course, once we get to the call-in portion, whatever you want to talk about is fine by me, as long as it keeps within terms of service. Let's try to get those super chats to 357 today. And let us begin. First story, this is surreal, but when you really think about it, of course something like this was going to occur. Here we have this article from the New York Times. It's behind a paywall, but it's one documented worker used a stolen identity. 2 men paid the price. And Daniel Friedman says, this New York Times reporter tried to write a sympathetic story about an illegal migrant using a stolen social security number and the American citizen who was wrongly assessed tens of thousands of dollars of taxes as a result. But the narrative kind of broke down when it turned out that the migrant, who has 4 anchor babies with U.S. citizenship collecting benefits, had multiple DUI arrests, has been deported 3 times, and ran down a grandfather and little girl on the sidewalk and killed the grandfather. There's the man whose identity was stolen. But what about this victim? This poor man here. Oh, I guess it would help if I showed. There he is, New York Times. Poor man killed a man driving illegally. Poor guy. And so there are 2 victims in this story. There is the man whose identity was stolen and assessed tens of thousands of dollars incorrectly in taxes, had his life turned upend for that, the IRS coming after him. And then there is the illegal who actually stole the identity, had multiple DUIs, killed a person driving recklessly, has several anchor babies, and the New York Times is like, such a difficult, both of these men are victims. More succinctly put, by this post, hit the wrong button there. Well, that was bad news, huh? I bumped the mouse button, the back button on my mouse. That's no good. There we go. Andrew Colvett puts it this way. Just so you see how the PSYOP works, the New York Times paints the 2 men as morally equivalent. Man 1 is a law-abiding American who did nothing wrong, had his identity stolen, life thrown in chaos. Man 2 is an illegal alien, broke into the country multiple times, deported multiple times, stole an innocent American social security number, has multiple DUIs, and killed a grandfather playing with his 9-year-old granddaughter. There's no moral equivalence here. One is guilty, the other's innocent. One deserves strict consequences, the other sympathy and justice. Free your mind from the PSYOP. That's where we're at in this country. And by the way, that narrative is winning. It's winning. At least when it comes to affecting public perception, or seemingly affecting public perception enough that our politicians decide to not do jack all about it. That's where we're at. Where the paper that we're told is the gold standard for journalism is like, wow, multiple victims here. The man who had his identity stolen, and the man who's been here illegally deported 3 times, has several anchor babies, stolen several people's identities, has several DUIs, and killed a grandfather playing with his granddaughter. Same thing. There's 2 things going on here. One leads into the other. The first is there is truly a belief amongst the left, including the New York Times and the rest of the media, that illegals deserve to be here. That it's our fault. Maybe it's our fault because colonization. Maybe it's our fault because we're too wealthy and we don't deserve it and we use too many resources. Maybe it's our fault because our immigration system's too difficult to come in legally for the liking of these illegals and for the left. And so therefore they have to do this. They have to steal your identity. After all, he's just a victim trying to provide for his anchor baby children. And the reason they have that belief is they fucking hate white people. There, let's say it. That's why. They hate white people. They hate the United States. They think that we're evil. They think that we are the oppressors, and therefore the oppressed can do anything possible to claw back from being oppressed. They don't like Christians. They don't like white people. They don't like men. They don't like straight people. They don't like citizens of the United States. They fucking hate them. That's the truth. It's not about equality of opportunity. It's about punishment for the people that are citizens of this country. That's what it's about. This is why, if there's a story of a white person killing a black person, holy smokes, is that big news. How many times did the mainstream media, other than Fox, cover Irina being murdered by a black man, saying, I got a white girl? But that's not going to show up on the hate crime statistics, is it? Nope, that won't be considered an act of left-wing violence. Now we have them blatantly saying, is there any wonder that we have Democrats out there talking about the military should disobey Trump? They don't want deportations. They think these people deserve to be here. They understand the system is set up such to ensure that these people, these illegals, get every benefit of the doubt. That illegal that stole that person's identity, every time you hear the statistic bandied about, actually, illegals commit less crime than Americans, people that are born here. Really? Is stealing someone's identity a crime? And they always act like this isn't a big deal. Yeah, you deal with it. Let's see you face the IRS and fight for years and years and years to prove that you're not the person that incurred tens of thousands of dollars in taxes. Spit Tour 4 says, difference is you can and had a choice this morning to run, lose weight, and screw the wife, but sit down in a chair online instead. Yes, this is my job. And what was your choice? Imagine, who's a bigger loser, the fat guy sitting in a chair or the anonymous fucking nobody that no one gives a shit about that's commenting on the fat guys? Why don't you call in, Spit Tour Force? Let's hear what you have to bring to the table. Clearly, you're getting so much accomplished, correct, this morning? I'm not crying. Does it look like I'm crying? But I do know that you're hiding behind that little smiley face emoji there. Yeah, let's find out. There you are, Spit Tour Force. Call in. We'll start with you. Then we'll get to the rest of the more productive parts. After all, you seem like someone who's brazening up. You're bold. You're not a coward, right? You'll call in. Right? Eyed idiot. Well, I see you. Are you trying to say that you're an idiot? I mean, that's putting it generously. Say where? I just put the link out. You moron. Now I'm starting to see the problem. You're offended that people have half a brain and you don't. You can't even click a link. Too difficult for you, eh? Here, it's pinned at the top of the YouTube channel. I see that you probably didn't have the option to sit down with a wife or something like that. Clearly, you lack the intelligence to be able to be a husband to someone. You can't even figure this out. Where you at? Huh. Wow. Big tough guy. Where is he? Huh. That's what I thought. Oh, here we are. Look at this handsome gentleman. Well, sir, why don't you tell us, what was your choice this morning?
Huh?
What was your choice this morning? You
So
said
you're a
somehow
fat piece of shit.
I'm a
You
fat
didn't.
piece of shit.
Yeah, you
Look
are.
at
You're a
you.
fat fucking.
Look at you with that fucking little ball tickling beard you have there as you're blowing dudes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, my mic is muted. Now my mic is unmuted. You gonna play these games,
Wow,
like
what a
it?
genius. What a genius.
Yeah,
Your mic was
yeah,
muted, then unmuted. You're
yeah,
right. You're correct.
yeah.
Go
We're
ahead.
so great at talking,
You did
right?
so
And you
good.
sat in the fucking chair this morning. You didn't do shit,
That's
right?
not true.
And you're gonna go make some fucking money off them to go do what? That's being a fucking man, right? In this day and age, you're gonna be a man. You're gonna sit in the fucking chair. You're not gonna do shit.
What are you doing? You're calling into a show of a guy sitting on a chair. You're less than me, you stupid
use
shit.
my argument against you. We already know.
Don't point out mine. We do already know you're a piece of shit.
We already know you got little bitch hands who doesn't do shit.
Don't have big hands?
Yeah,
Correct.
no, little bitch hands who doesn't
Right.
want to do
And
shit.
what do you do? What do you do?
And what did you do?
Right, that's what
No,
I thought.
that was my argument. Don't use what I said,
so
right?
right.
What
Don't
did
point
you
out-
do?
Don't point out
Hey,
that you're
little fat
actually
fuck,
worse.
what did you do then? You
Don't
didn't do
point out-
shit this morning, and then you're gonna say to me, "Oh, come online. Come online for what? To
That's
remind
right.
you that
To
you're a
prove that-
fucking loser?
To prove that the people
To
that
prove
wanna
what?
criticize
What am I
other
gonna
people-
prove to
Why
you?
don't you be
You
quiet
fat
and
little
listen?
shit.
Why don't you
What
be
am I
quiet
gonna
and
prove to
listen?
you?
Maybe you'll learn something if you be quiet here. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is people like you that want to say you're not doing anything, you're just sitting on a chair online, are actually worse than someone like me because at least I'm talking to people that want to listen. You, on the other hand, is a nobody who's calling into the very show that you are saying is worthless. You're saying, well, don't point out that I also am a bitch and I didn't do anything this morning and meet the same criteria of what I'm criticizing you. I'm not saying that people that didn't get out today and weld or drive a truck or something are pieces of shit. That's your argument. You fall victim to your very own argument. So what did you do this morning, sir?
Everybody knows.
Knows what? That you're a bitch.
Everybody knows this. Everybody knows.
You are a bitch. We do know.
Everybody knows.
Yes, I agree.
We can look at your face and we know this.
Look at your face. What the fuck are you talking about? You fucking
I'm gonna keep saying the same shit that you said every fucking time because I don't have an argument in the morning that I sat in the fucking chair to do nothing except ask people for money online.
So here's what I did today. So far this morning, I went out and I did the dishes. Then I took garbage out. Then I had lunch with my wife. Then I came up and I did this stream so that at 1 o'clock I could go pick up my child. Something that you probably don't have because you look like you're incapable of being a father or a husband for that matter. Then when I pick up my child, we're going to hang up Christmas lights. Something that it looks like you're incapable of having a positive relationship if you did have a child. So it'll take me probably an hour to 2 hours to hang up the Christmas lights. Then we planned on taking my son to his grandmother's house tonight so we can have dinner with her. Then when I get back tonight, I'm going to do some debate prep, and I have a meeting with a multi-million-dollar project that I'm working on called Word War, so I'll be doing that tonight. Then I'll do my stream at 10 o'clock tonight. Within there, I'll also find time to help the 7 or 8 people that have reached out to me since I met them at DebateCon to help them with debate prep and with actual congressmen being helped. Then I have a meeting with my friend Carlos Saldivia, who's actually a campaign consultant out in Center County, Pennsylvania, and we're going to be talking about how to set the messaging up for the upcoming election for governor here in Pennsylvania. What are you doing today?
Funny, you said a whole lot of shit that women do.
Really?
Yeah.
And what are you doing?
No, really. You just talked like a woman does and muted me. You understand that?
No, I muted you because you're
No,
incapable
you
of
just
listening.
talk like a fucking woman.
Just like that. No. Can you tell me the women that act as a father and help their child hang up Christmas lights? Can you tell me that? I mean, you're literally spurging out right now. If you'd be calm, you could insult me. I don't mind that, but you got to give me a chance to speak. Stop spurging out. You get your chance. Now, can you tell me why it's woman work to be a father and hang up Christmas lights with your son?
Stop lying.
About what?
You gonna block me again?
I'm not blocking you.
Yeah, you are.
I'm giving you a chance to talk.
I'm spurging out because I said something to you, Rob.
No,
what's your name?
It's because you're spurging out. My name is.
No. I spurred out how?
Because you won't shut up. You keep going like this.
No.
Go ahead, say something. Go ahead,
make your point.
Oh, you're a little bitch, you chin beer fucking woman.
You know you're a little bitch. You started it. You asked me to come up, and then you started talking over me. So I asked you what the fuck is good, dude. And you didn't do shit. You didn't make any fucking points. All you did.
You see how it's hard to get a point out when someone's yelling like that? Do you see? Now, what I like to do is make my point, even if it's insulting to you, and then allow you to make your point, even if it's insulting to me. But when you're just screaming over someone like that, being a little bitch, because you know that you don't have an argument, and then saying, no, oh, you're lying, you muted me, it proves that you don't have anything to say. Now, I'm generously giving you an opportunity, despite the fact that you wanted to call in and insult me. I'm giving you an opportunity to say what you want. It's just you don't have anything to say. All you have to say is to say, oh, you're fat. Oh, you're a bitch, you're a woman, which is nonsensical arguments, other than the fat part. That's totally true. It's nonsensical arguments. And so when I give you an opportunity to speak, you have nothing to say, only to attempt to talk over me. Now, I'm going to give you a chance to respond to what I said. Explain to me how it's being a woman, to be a father, pick your son up from school, and hang up Christmas lights.
That's the gayest shit I've ever heard. And everybody else
Being
knows.
a father is gay.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're not one.
You're going to hang up Christmas lights in November, buddy?
Yes.
Huh? Yeah.
Yes. That's what my son wants to do today. Do you have a son?
His son wants to go hang up Christmas lights, right?
Yes.
That's
Do you have a son? Do you have a son?
Doesn't matter.
Because I'm asking you.
I'm not gonna talk to you about my life, bro.
Right. I know you're not.
I know you're a fat piece of shit. We all saw your stomach when you turned to the fucking side. Shut the fuck up.
I am fat.
Yeah, you're a fat fucking blob.
Okay,
Who
nonetheless.
asked for money online this morning, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And you didn't do shit, right? Because it's fucking, what time is it? Where you at, nigga?
Don't drop the N-word or I'll just boot you
Don't worry about it.
I'll worry about what I want. Like,
don't worry about it. Where are you at? What time is it?
10:13. I'm in the Eastern
10:13. So at 10:13, what did you do?
Well, I already explained to you what I did today. You weren't listening. Now, the reason I asked you
I already know that.
There you go. The reason I asked you if you had a child is because you're implying it's gay to hang up Christmas lights with your child. So I'm asking you, are you a father so that you have some sort of expertise to say something like that?
Hang up Christmas lights with a fucking kid at 10:13 in the morning on a fucking Tuesday.
No, I already told you.
Listen, you're full of shit.
I already told you.
You're full of shit. You know this. Don't argue with me. You're not that fucking smart, dude.
I'm much smarter than you.
No, you're not. You're a fucking white bitch.
There you go. Now, what I said was, if you were listening, the reason I'm doing the show early today is I picked my son up at 1 o'clock. And so when I pick him up from school at 1 o'clock, then I will be hanging up Christmas lights. Though I'm not sure what the point is that somehow it would be gay or impossible to hang Christmas lights up at 10:13 a.m. anyways. I'm unsure of what the argument is. Now, I noticed that you called me a white bitch, and I also noticed that you're unwilling to tell us anything about your life, someone who wants to criticize and say the fact that I'm on here streaming, and I went through a laundry list of stuff I'm going to do today. You said that all of that stuff is woman work. Can you explain to me one thing in that scenario? Helping people win congressional races, helping people with a huge project that's going to be sort of starting up, a huge debate project, getting ready for my stream tonight, prepping people for debates. Can you explain to me what part of that is woman?
Mind if you think that you're doing anything except asking for money online, dude. You're out of your mind. You're
I'm
out of your
doing
mind.
things. That's not true.
Yeah,
I'm
you're not doing
certainly-
shit. You know this. And I asked you, where
that's
are you
absolute-
from? So we know. So they know. Where are you from? What's your background? Really, what's your background?
You have no clue. You're talking to me. You have
So
no
what's
clue.
your background? Where are you from? Like ethnicity. Where are you from?
Ethnicity. You need to
Yeah.
know. What's your ethnicity? Then I'll answer.
No, I asked you first. You
I'm
fucking little rat
asking you
fuck.
what your ethnicity is, and then I'll answer.
No, I asked you
What's
first.
your religion?
You don't have a religion, you white little
That's not
fat
true.
fuck.
That's
Yeah, I
not
know
true.
that.
I'm
Yeah, I know
Christian.
that. No, what Christian? What?
Christian. Right now, I'm going to a Catholic church.
Goodbye.
And you? And you?
Goodbye.
Huh? I wonder. I wonder. Ah, good stuff. Good stuff. Love it. What was that dude's name? Good stuff. All right. Well, I'll promise I'll get to super chats and then we'll get to the rest of the callers. But there you have it. Not the brightest ops that we have today. He knew what was up. Oh man. Bet dudes majors. That's good. So now I'll proceed with the stories I was going to talk about, and then we'll get to super chats, and then we'll get to the callers. So we had that story there from the New York Times equivocating, the illegal that was here that stole someone's identity. Same difference as, the person that was, had his identity stolen. Now I wanted to play this video to go along with that. If I could get it working. Here we are. This was a couple that saw a bunch of people doing like a street takeover in New York, in Queens. And this is what you see occur.
Yo, chill.
Here's the aftermath of that. Maybe. They apparently lit the couple's car on fire. Now, I just want you, I know it's all so tiresome at this point, but just for a second, reverse the races. Group of white people beating the shit out of a black homeowner. What do you think the news would look like this morning? And yet, nothing. Crickets. It's all right. That's New York, mostly peaceful. Is that what was going on? Zach Kelpie, $10. Thanks so much. Says, dude, is Dawa an upset about Christmas lights trying to accuse you of being a Jewish? Is that what he's trying to do? Was that the claim he's trying to accuse me of being Jewish? Not that I would give a shit anyways. As a result of cousin marriage. But you see these street takeovers all the time. And the truth is, just like we see in Portland, when lefties take over the street and Antifa decides that they basically operate as the local police. It's the same mentality that says, well, the illegal that stole that guy's identity, he's a victim too. It's the same mentality that when we saw Nashville when that trans person shot up children in his school, they held up 6 fingers for 6 victims, including the trans shooter as one of the victims. You see? Anarcho-tyranny. Last thing I'll say before we bring on the callers. Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Your punishment for having a knife when they searched you would be very different from the thief's. For him to have a knife was mere misbehavior, tradition. He didn't know any better. But for you to have one was terrorism. That's what we're living in. We know when we saw a judge that just kicked back the $7.2 million of theft that we saw in Minneapolis of someone stealing money that was from the Somali community. We know what's going on. We know. I did this show yesterday, Law and Order with Ryan Mullally, right? We know why there won't be any accountability. We know that even if they do bring charges against someone like James Comey, that I know, and you know, and the Democrats know, and the Republicans know, and James Comey knows that he is going to face 0 legal consequences. We all know it. We all know that in a place like D.C., when someone on camera assaults law enforcement throwing a sandwich at them, that he's going to get off and face no consequence. We know that. We all know. We know that every time Trump declares some sort of order, particularly if it pertains to deportations of people, that there's going to be a judge somewhere that says, nope, you can't do that. We know it. We all know it. And we know they're going to get away with it. We absolutely know it. And we know that the Republicans ain't going to do shit about it. Last story. I guess I lied. I wanted to play this story. We talked about Lindsay Halligan, and the Comey case was dropped because, long story short, Lindsay Halligan was ordered not to have appointed legitimately because the predecessor had expired 120 days, which means the D.C. court gets to sign off on. Here we have on Laura Ingram's show, I forget this gentleman's name, but he's going to explain to you what really is going on, and he's absolutely right.
Some of the procedural stuff here is in question. But you say this was avoidable. How so?
It was avoidable because, quite frankly, the Justice Department should have just put somebody in the room with Lindsay Halligan and would have taken away all of the arguments for dismissal, quite frankly, based on all the decisions around the country. I still don't think the decision is right, but it was avoidable in that sense. I give Lindsay Halligan great credit, and she showed great courage here. She looked at the facts and the evidence. She saw that there was a wrong committed, and she got an indictment. She was put in this position, and she should have had more support than she was given. But it's not a major setback for the...
Now, let me translate what this guy might not be able to say, right? Because he formerly worked with Trump. Here's the truth. He's right. This was avoidable. They could have put someone in the room with her. All of that's true. 1 second. My wife just texted me. Oh, okay. Good stuff, wife, if you're listening. That's good news. The truth of the matter is this. Pam Bondi is either incompetent or she's in on the game. The truth is that these people, Pam Bondi, the agents still at the FBI and shit, they don't want the corrupt people at places like the FBI to be held accountable. They don't want it. That's the truth. They shucks. Wouldn't you know it? We accidentally allowed the one person that we knew there could be questions by to do the case. And now the statute of limitations. Oh, shucks. What can we do? That's the truth. And as much as I might, as a Trump voter, want to say Trump's being sabotaged by his own administration, those days of excusing him allowing this shit to go on are over. It's done. I didn't give him any leeway in his first administration for the terrible people he appointed like Bill Barr and John Bolton. And I'm certainly not going to give him any leeway this time. It's his fault. His ass is going to go to prison for the rest of his life. He's going to try to pardon himself. We'll see what happens. He'll be a pariah. His entire family, his entire administration will be attacked nonstop. Even if they can't get them criminally, they'll go after them culturally. They'll be unhireable. And he has no one to blame but himself. That's the truth. He has no one to blame. It's all his fault. If he couldn't see the day of the Epstein file debacle with Pam Bondi that she was either corrupt and trying to sabotage him or so fucking incompetent that she didn't deserve to be there, there are things I don't like about people like Thomas Massie. But Trump's hyper-focus on attacking him or even Marjorie Taylor Greene, whatever you think about them and the issues that they were pushing, his energy would be far better spent attacking people like Grassley and Thune and Johnson, people in positions of leadership in the Republican Party, and Lindsey Graham. Why haven't you done fuck all? Nothing. You're not impeaching corrupt judges. You're not doing anything to expedite the process. Nothing. What have the Republicans done? Tell me, for real. They passed the big, beautiful bill, okay? Then they got the Democrat CR put through. What else have they done? Well, they did condemn socialism the other day. Where are they? I honestly want someone to explain this. If Republicans, if they literally didn't show up for one day of work, any of them, since Trump's been elected, how would things be different? I guess there's some appointments that got made. That's about it. What have they done? Now we're entering campaigning season. Oh, they're going to have big promises. And then once they lose the midterms, they'll say, well, shucks, now our big balls are back. We would have done shit now, but now the Democrats are there. They haven't done shit. They haven't advanced on sort of the corrupt way that elections are proffered. They haven't done shit in that. They didn't instill any of the Doge cuts. Doge is effectively dead. They pushed a bill that spends just as much, if not more, than what the Biden administration was spending. What the fuck are they doing? And the one hope we had of potentially being outside the system, Donald Trump, is just straight up listening to the worst of them, the Lindsey Grahams of the world. Now we're back to a bunch of Republicans allegedly pissed off because of the peace deal between Ukraine and Russia. Stop focusing on foreign policy, Trump! You fucking idiot! What part of Make America Great Again don't you understand? Why is this difficult for him? He wants to be known as this great man who's brought peace across the world. It ain't happening! Stop funding Ukraine and peace will break out! Let Israel do whatever the fuck they want with Palestine! Stop! I don't give a fuck! And your base doesn't either. And you're gonna lose! And the people that do care hate you! And they want your ass in prison for the rest of your life! Meanwhile, people lose more and more faith. How many stories? What is it now? Every other day we hear a story of some fucking ruthless criminal that's been left out 40-something times that murders some innocent person? Oh, well. Legal immigration? People still not deporting people in a serious way? Oh, well. People still can't afford homes? Average first-time homeowners, 41 now? Oh, well. This is, by the way, This is my favorite point. You tell me! Because clearly they can't. Every time you talk about this, you'll get some guy going, well, why can't they do both? They should do both. They should focus on. And then we don't do any of the domestic shit. Well, we could do both. They can't. This guy should not be taken seriously. Happy to smack you around in a debate on any of this that you want. Happy. Happy to do so. It's been 10 months, dumbass. Okay. Now we're entering campaign season for the Republicans, which means even less is going to be done. Then the Republicans are going to lose the midterms. Then you're going to be saying, well, hey, what'd you expect? Trump can't get shit done now the Democrats are in charge. You fucking idiot. We will see. Calling in, bitch? Just curious. No? That's what I thought. I mean, maybe people shouldn't listen to me, but at least some people are interested in hearing my takes. And you? Who's interested in hearing from you? We're giving you a chance. Maybe you'll bring the heat. But no, you're not going to call in, are you? No? Well, nonetheless. Nope, not calling in. Well, hey, thanks so much for your time. All right. Pissing everyone off this morning, huh? Let's get to the callers. Now, I remind you, we're going to keep things terms of service no matter what we think. That means no racial slurs. That means no homophobic slurs. That means no calls to violence. But other than that, we can talk about whatever topic you want within reason. Now, I try to get to everyone, but sometimes I'm poor when it comes to my time management. So forgive me if I don't spend equal amount of time with everyone. Your all's job is to get those super chats in and get to that goal this morning of $357. After all, as the nice gentleman who was probably of the Islamic faith that called in this morning to say I'm a piece of shit, he did criticize me for just sitting here and asking for money. So I might as well go all out, and you could show him what an idiot he is by getting to that goal of $357. All right. First up, this is the order we got. We got Joe, Pumpkin, Miguel, and Premonition, then Zach and Mirnichuk. So, here we go. Joe, what is up, my man? How you doing this fine day?
Good morning, sir. How are you feeling this morning?
Pretty good. I've been yelled at. I've been pro-Israel, apparently. I've been I'm apparently being a woman by hanging up Christmas lights with my son. You know.
Yeah,
Same old,
I like
same.
that one. That one was awesome. Hanging up Christmas lights with your son being a woman. You know, there's a thinker. There's a guy that should write a book that we should all buy. Clearly has a lot to say that matters, right?
Well, I wonder because like I was saying, if you caught the beginning of the show, I was showing my friend sent me a post from Andrew Tate that just says, let me make this loud and clear. If you're a straight man with a girlfriend in 2025, you're gay. So maybe he followed, oh, you're hanging up Christmas lights with your wife and son. You must be gay. But oh, well, it's fun. It gets the old juices flowing early in the morning. So
there you go. Well, I will offer a suggestion to that fellow. I don't know who, I've forgotten what his name is.
Me
but
too.
I'm speaking directly to him. Hey, the best thing Rob did this morning is drew a bigot like you out from under your rock, your camera on, so we could all see him. So that's a good start to the day, in my
You would
opinion.
think, you know, normally, here's the thing, right? If you're going to insult people's looks and stuff, which is fine, I guess, I don't mind it, but maybe you should be a handsome fellow yourself before you jump into that game. I don't know. I was actually shocked that he had a cam. That did shock me for real. So
With that level of anger, that is shocking. Hey, I'm going to make a very quick comment. I think you got a lot of callers. and I haven't had the chance to call in a while. Thanks for the early stream. I
No
wanted to say I really appreciated your taking the time to watch my Old Joe versus the panel verse or some
Yeah.
of that debate. That was awesome. That the fact that you gave me that compliment. I just wanted to say a lot of that came from the discussion that we had where you talked about going out and putting yourself out there and debating people that you disagreed with. I thought I'd start there. And the last piece I'll say is having watched your channel, Rob, and a lot of your debate techniques has enabled me to stay in conversations like that. The two main examples was it seems to be a certain crowd tends to personally attack you if they can't attack your argument.
Mm-hmm.
And my strategy going in there was to simply ignore any personal attacks, acquiesce to them, and stay on the argument, which was befuddling to my opponents.
Yep.
And the second, and I think the best piece of advice, debate-wise, it's changed my debate technique. Your advice to always remember that at some point you're debating to your audience, not your interlocutor. And that really is a game changer when you get in a conversation with somebody who is not willing to change their position. So thank you very much, sir, and I wanted to acknowledge that. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Old Joe. Always appreciate it. And yeah, I thought in your debate there, granted, I didn't hear all of it, but I think the point that's most salient that you're talking about with this was when right out of the gate, as soon as like the first caller calls in, he's like, "But you're as bad as us," and you're like, "Okay, let's say that's true." And
Yeah,
does that
exactly.
mean what I'm saying is incorrect? And it did befuddle them because their point was just like, well, but what you're doing's bad, or so therefore it doesn't matter if what I'm doing's bad.
Yes, this is right. And this is how they deal with one another. And I wanted to be very clear because I've had a couple questions. When I was making my points, I was speaking about the panel verse in particular. When they came over and trolled you, this is who they are. They enjoy trying to make people upset. You even saw it in the unsolicited advice that you got by private message. This is the game. This is how people behave over here. And that really does make it a sick place, and that's the least of it. So I know a few people have left because of that and because of those conversations. And to me, that's worthwhile.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I thought the point you made that was the best was like, listen, even if it just changes one person's mind. By the way, what you're saying is not controversial at all. You shouldn't relish in other people's misery and other people's sort of burning down. And you don't want to be too terminally online. Get out and see the good in the world. And sometimes it's the simplest advice that's the most profound. And they rejected it wholeheartedly because to them, they have to defend what it is they do. And it's hard to be introspective and say, wait a minute, is there a point here? Are we going down a road that's maybe not good for us, like our soul, or good for our psyche, or however you want to look at it? And, hopefully there were people listening that did that. Most of the people that called in to talk to you, though, they probably felt more defensive, and so they were unwilling to sort of. But again, that's the point. You're not really trying to change the mind of the person you're debating as much as the audience.
That's right. And I felt the best way to tackle that was one-on-one. I would go in there. I would take all comers. It had to be one-on-one and structured, though, because we all know the screaming over format that happens if they dogpile you on a panel. And it was surprising how few people actually showed up and took that challenge on. It's amazing, though, Rob. Like even this fellow this morning that called in and screamed at you. Clearly, you have done something other than putting up Christmas lights to trigger this fellow. There is something in his worldview that you speak to that he really doesn't want to contend with, and this reaction of the insults and the yelling at. I'm still trying to figure that out myself, where that comes from.
Yeah.
But hey, man, I'll let you go because I know you got callers. Thanks a lot for having me up, eh?
Always a pleasure, Joe. Thanks so much, man.
Okay, see you later.
Yep. Big Bert Stash, who's literally just an alt of the account that was just in here. Once more, like I would with your all, if you're saying that I'm not that good at debate, then feel free to call in. You asked if I welcome debate. Of course I welcome debate. Welcoming debate's one thing. People that call in and just want to say you're fat, you're worthless, blah, blah, blah. That's sort of a different thing, which I'd hope you would understand. But I proffer to you an invite to come in and talk and share your worldview. I think your worldview is garbage in the sense that you're saying, yeah, you have no desire to debate me. You're not a professional debater. Well, fuck you, too, as your avatar says there. You're not making any point. Your point's just, we'll give him 10 months. How many, let me ask you this then. You're not a professional debater, okay? We don't have more time. Shitlibs are trying to stall long enough for his term to. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong. That's not what I do for a living. That's not what I do for a living. But you're not very good at it, Timu Andrew Wilson. That's fine. If you want to hurl insults and stuff, and then you're saying, but I'm too much of a coward to back it up because you are better than me at debating because I'm not professional, just say that. Just say, I can't defend my positions, and I'll use the excuse of, but I'm not a professional debater. Your argument of 10 months, let me ask you this. How many months should we give Trump? How about that? What do you think the chances are of Trump actually doing things that affect domestic policy good? If we all sit back like you and say, hey, no criticisms of Trump whatsoever. He could do everything. He could focus on foreign policy and domestic policy, and it's only been 10 months. So give him time. Do you think that has the best likely chance to have positive outcomes? Or do you think if his base starts saying, we're tired of you not focusing on the issues we elected you for back home? Which one do you think has a better chance of convincing him to do these issues back home? Trump doesn't know who I am. That's true. But he does know what large portions of his base are. And he knows that large portions of his base are pissed off. And they're not like you. People that just say, oh, we're not going to criticize Trump whatsoever. But after all, it's only been 10 months. You have not watched people debate me that are on my level, that decimated me. Name one. Name one of the people that you watched that decimated me. As we wait for that, let's read Super Chats because I forgot to start with that. Nate, $5 says, get those lights up, Norbots. Volume good, thank you. And then another 5 from Nate says, I get to work Thanksgiving, as always. I give my portions of the feast to the hungry. Thanks so much, Nate. Yeah, when I did the home healthcare stuff, man, I worked pretty much every Thanksgiving. Even if I had off, I would oftentimes go in with my guy and take him to his father's. You know? So, God bless you, though, working on Thanksgiving. Naughty Germ, $5 as always. Thank you so much, man. Always appreciate it. Cat and Planet, $10. Thank you, man. And then Nate, another 10, says, hit the like. We're at less than 50% as the dedicated viewers. Duty requires you hit the like. Thank you. Our good friend Zach, $10 says, good morning, Robin Neurons. Good morning to you. Nate, $5 says, Spit Tour Force, that was his name. Hey, boss, calling you legend. He did so well. Serious Gurus. For the grift, haters want your money. Yes, that's a big part of it. Crabs in a bucket, they're upset. How long, Nate, $5 says, like the stream to show Mr. Spit who's doing what. Thank you, Nate. Kokomo, $20. Thanks so much, man. And then Nate, another 5, said, dude's going to give himself an aneurysm. Bet he took 15 boosters. Zach, again, $10 says, Dagestani beard dude calls Rob out for doing his job. Well, obviously not working himself. It's 10 a.m. Get a job like a man, like Rob is doing. Yeah, that's why I kept asking, what are you doing? You're clearly at home. At this level of credit, look, I'm here to tell you right now, I don't know that there's a streamer that's more open with basically how embarrassingly little they do when it comes to like actual blue collar work than me. That's sort of been my whole shtick ever since I started debating in college. It's why I ran for Congress, because those are the people I respect the most, and I want to do what I can to sort of promulgate the worldview that benefits them. That's a big part of what I'm doing. But let's say that I am a piece of shit that's doing nothing and I'm just sitting behind a computer. Okay, that's a criticism I'm willing to hear. At the end of the day, there's some validity to that. I will admit it. But who's more pathetic? The guy that's actually on here doing it, or the person that's in the crowd bitching about it, that's doing nothing themselves? I mean, imagine being like this artist here that just goes around, throwing paint on a canvas. They're worthless. They're an idiot. And it's like, yeah, but you follow them everywhere. You're literally at every event. Doesn't that make you more worthless? Hey, we're not here to talk about me. Always good. Never Lucky Rubber Ducky, $5 says, looks like he's about to cry. Imagine the father figure he had. I mean, lack thereof, for his degenerate behavior. Yep. Reverse Massage, $5 says, why is Muhammad's cheek so full? So is last night's balls in his mouth. Omar Tapia, $2 says, how dare you take my money, you bum? I know. I feel guilty. How long, Nate? $5 says, Spit. Time to go sell reclaimed title vehicles to poor single mothers. Trick Slazer says, bet dude married his first cousin. AJC, may the power of Christ compel you. As soon as he heard Catholic, he's like, oh no. He did too. As soon as I said Catholic, he was out. Zach already read this one, but it's a good one. $10 says, dude, is Dawan upset about Christmas lights? Trying to accuse you of being Jewish? He's definitely the result of cousin marriage. How long, Nate? Member 5 months says like and share the stream or being undocumented. Robert Whaley, thank you so much. $10 says just stopping by to drop the obligatory grift. I wish you all happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. Are we not men? Thank you so much. Says send super chat for kids really share. Thank you so much for that. Kokomo, thanks for the 5 gifted memberships. And then Bruce, thanks for becoming a member. 6 months says happy Thanksgiving, Robin fam. Chat in the mods. Thank you. AJC $5 says if you're not making anyone mad, you're not doing your job right. Well, I'm making a lot of them mad. And actually religious says everyone posting on bacon on X made me hungry. Bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel. Yeah, nice. Oh, Bandit. Working on Turkey Day? What was his problem? $2. Thank you, man. It says fucker, you fucker. I don't get it. All right, next up we have Pumpkinhead is next on the list. Like that movie? I was a fan of that movie growing up, you know? What's happening, man?
Not much, man. Just came on to say how you doing and what you're doing with the kind of fools that are, in your chat.
Yeah, that's okay. Like, I the haters actually, it gives me something to do. So it's always nice, when they want to call in. It's nice if they have an argument. At least this guy that was in the chat, secondly, it's like you're being too harsh on Trump. He's only had 10 months. At least that's an argument. I mean, it's 10:15 and you're streaming and hanging up Christmas lights is feminine and gay.
I know, right?
Okay, whatever,
I don't see how that's gay, but what, spending time with your family is all of a sudden gay? And it's like most of these people don't even have an argument. They just want to complain and, and all that crap. But as soon as you say something that they don't like, they just like that. Oh, the dude, like he just lost it on you. It's like if you're gonna come on here and argue with with you, sorry, at least have an argument or a point. Don't just come in here and be like,
yeah. And the only things I really ask, as long as you stay within terms of service, right, and you don't spurg out and you let both of us have a chance to talk. That's fine. Now, I also have a pet peeve when people just say, like, you said this and I didn't. That's a pet peeve of mine. But other than that, like, I don't care. I knew that guy was going to call me a fat piece of shit. That's fine. You call in. That's the truest thing he said. So I'll give him that. It's like, yes, you're right. I need to lose weight. Absolutely right about that. But the whole, like, you're not doing anything. You don't have a job. And it's like, well, I mean, yeah, there's an argument to be had. I think that a lot of us, myself included, spend more time online than we do trying to affect political change. But I'm trying to do better with that. I'm actually trying to work on projects, whether it be through the Crucible or political projects that I'm working on, where I'm actually trying to make positive changes in a political and cultural sphere. I am trying to do that. Could I be doing more? Of course. I also, I would say, spend a lot of time with my family and trying to be a good father and a good husband. Could I be better? Sure. But the idea that people want to criticize that stuff and then it's like, well, tell me, what have you done? Well, nothing. But that's not what it's about. It's like, well, okay. I mean, because if you get right down to it, if you really want to get philosophical, and I used to say this all the time when I was a debate coach, I would have students, I'd kind of give them an assignment. I'd be like, hey, work on this, right? Come back and have this speech prepared. And then they would come back the next day and I'd just like, do you have that speech prepared? And they'd be like, no, but I didn't have any time. I did everything I could. And I'm like, well, no, you didn't.
No.
And they're like, well, and I'm like, you didn't do everything that you could,
right?
Like you didn't spend a half an hour on the phone with your friend that you could have said, nope, but that's okay. There's an expectation of us as people that none of us are going 100% on a particular thing 24/7. It's just not happening. I would be lying. I think I worked real hard in my own little sphere to try to help get Trump elected in 2024, but I'd be lying if I said I couldn't do more. You mean to tell me I couldn't fit an extra 2 hours in streaming here or there, or picked up the phone and made 5 more calls? Of course, I could have done more, but I thought I did pretty good. So I'm always willing to hear people that have this general sort of criticism. Was a streamer, what are you really doing? It's fair. That's a fair criticism. Mm-hmm. But coming from a place of like, but I do nothing and I'm criticizing you, it's like, well, that I'm less interested in. Because if you're setting the role and you're like, this is what I did, it's like, fair enough. That's more than I did, or that's at least equivalent to what I did. But to just be like, you're not doing anything. And when I explain what I'm doing, going, that sounds like woman work. that sounds gay. It's like, okay, man, clearly just a troll. But again, it's nice because it allows people to see. Oh, that's great news, Gigi. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, Pumpkin, thanks so much for calling in, man. I really appreciate it. And yeah, feel free.
Yeah.
We usually do these call-in shows about every day, usually around noon, though. So
Well, this is my first time calling in.
I know, and I
honestly,
thoroughly
to be-
appreciate it.
Yeah, to be honest, you, Andrew, and everybody else like who works for the current boat are doing more good. And apparently, doing good is evil to these people, and they just got to bash on it. It's like y'all are doing more good than anything else that these people could ever do in their whole entire life. They just sit at home, leech off people, and then just destroy everything. If they don't create, they just destroy and just ruin. They just don't do anything. I just don't understand. And the spur thing, I don't understand why you can spur. Can you just like I just did? I sit here and let you talk. I didn't go or like that. It's like I just don't understand people. How can y'all be so dumb and just think this is right when it's completely wrong?
Yeah.
It's just I'd rather listen to you guys because y'all will do more change than any of these people would. But I'll let the other callers come up because.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it thoroughly. Thank you so much.
We'll
talk soon.
Next time you do this, though. I'll see you again, man.
All right, take it easy. Thanks so much for the call. Yeah, look, I'm making an assumption here, but my guess is that guy is probably Islamic, and he's probably pissed off about Andrew's debate with David Akikachu at DebateCon, and so it's probably, well, let's go troll people that are friends with Andrew or associated with him, is my guess of what was going on. But I don't know. I did see how much Andrew's bots paid in on the Thanksgiving stream. Pretty incredible, huh? Speaking of which, bots, assemble! Get your donos in. We're 40%, pretty good. We're going to be here until 12:30, so we still got plenty of time. We're going to get to our next caller. Maggie, how you doing today, man?
Well, not much really. I was just taking my grandparents to their appointment, so I'm just basically just resting now, sitting now waiting outside. But anyways, there was a stat that came out recently that just makes the whole, what Trump's argument, saying that, oh, give him more time. No, the problem is that we just had a stat that came out that now they're saying that, boomers make up 70% of the America's wealth, right?
Yep.
But now they're saying that only 20% of boomers' wealth will be inherited to the next generation, while 80% is probably going to go to banks and investment firms like BlackRock.
Well, this is something that the left. Oh, mute yourself. There you go. This is something that the left has wanted for a long time. For example, there are people on the left that'll just straight up tell you they want 100% tax on inheritance, right? And it's just one of the dumbest arguments. And again, not to bring it back to that guy that called in, but there is something worth mentioning people that are parents, that have children, and sort of the different perspective that puts on things. I myself, before I was married, I didn't give a shit about money at all. Like, my mom used to joke all the time. She's like, Rob, you're the only guy I know that could literally live on a couch and eat ramen noodles every day and be happy. And that's true. I just didn't give a shit. Now listen, more money, good. I'll use that money. But I've always been the type of person that's just like, it's been totally random. One of the first times I had a huge amount of money, well, huge, put that in perspective, like thousands of dollars on me. It was because I was making, I think, $11 an hour, and I was working at this home healthcare place with this very violent guy, and no one else would work with him. And literally in like 2008 or 2009, the month of July, I went 3 weeks where I literally got paid every hour of every day. And the reason for that is, in that line of work in Pennsylvania, if you don't get at least 5 hours of sleep at one time, they have to pay you for the full 24 hours. The person I was working with was manic, so he didn't sleep. He'd sleep like an hour here, an hour there. And so I would grab a quick wink when he did. And I was starting to go crazy. It was nuts. But nonetheless, all of these hours, even though I was only making $11 an hour, and here's the other thing, I wasn't doing anything. I couldn't go out because I was working every day. So I wasn't eating out. I wasn't going to the movies. I wasn't going to the bar. I wasn't buying video games or CDs or anything like that. And so I had this extra money. And instead of doing what a normal, average, intelligent human being would do, I went to this like place, we called it the Craig. It was like where a bunch of us drunks would hang out in the woods. It was a nice place, like a park, and this band was playing there. And I vaguely knew the one guy that was associated with the band, and they were like, "Oh, we're having trouble with our equipment and blah blah blah." And I was just like, "Here's $1,000," and just handed it to him cash. And they're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't give a shit. It's just money. I don't care. Like I don't really need it." That's how I was. So I didn't give a shit. I was living in the moment. As long as I had money for beer and I had money to pay my bills and I was eating something, I did not give a shit. That's who I was until I met my wife. Then the perspective becomes different because now it's not just me, selfish me. Now I have to look out and provide for and protect her. Now I regret. Wow, I spent all those years drinking my money away and just pissing it away, doing this and that. I wish I would have been saving. How much better would I be now as a new husband to take care of my wife? But I wasn't, so I had to work more and more and more. And then, once you have a kid, then the game completely changes. Now I'm not just setting myself up for me and my wife. I'm setting myself up for my kid and his kids, right? Now, all of this is a long-winded way to say inheritance are one of the strongest motivator to working hard. If it was just me, would just do the bare minimum to survive for me. But I am providing for my future generations, for my son and his children. And so I'm going to do my best to make sure that I'm being as productive as possible so that I can provide for my son and for future generations of my lineage. So the idea that it's now we could expect only 20% on average of people's inheritance to actually make it to their children is horrible. It's an actual horrible statistic, and it says not just about culture, but also about economically what's happening. And it's no surprise, given that we see young people struggling, and we see a large transfer of wealth from the poor and working class to the upper class. It is the intent, and it's working, and it's making people more reliant on the government, which it's the disastrous policies that they've done, whether it be mass migration, H-1Bs, terrible policies that have encouraged women to get into the workforce, which basically halved the value of work, and all of this other shit. Their policies cause a problem or heavily influence a problem, which then they say, well, you got to come to us for the solution. More big government. That's the problem.
Yeah, and yeah, if you look at, for instance, that generation, the boomer generation, they still make up most of the power structure in the United States. Like, they still mostly, on average, basically control Congress. If you look at, for instance, earlier this year, what happened in Canada, the younger generation, the Gen Z and the younger millennials, they voted conservative because they were concerned about affordability and safety. While the boomer generation, all they care about was Trump derangement syndrome. They sold out the young generation again. Mind you, the Liberal Party in Canada been in power for like 20 years or so, and now they're stuck with it again for the next 5 years because the boomer generation decided, you know what? We don't give a shit about the young generations. We just give a shit about the fact that Trump is a thing. And that's the problem. And you can see the demographic changes, how the boomer generation have become more and more liberal, while, of course, the younger generation is not really conservative. It's just they feel like they just don't have any options. There's no option. What option do we really have for 2028? I don't know. I'm looking at 2028 and well, we have Gavin Newsom that's probably going to become the nominee, and we already know what's going to happen. Then we have JD Vance. Some believe he might be the best politician in a lifetime, but I'm been way more questioning now, especially seeing the whole background with Peter Thiel and what they're pushing for and everything, like the legislation and the stuff that they're trying to push down our throats and all that. I don't know. That's not both options look pretty terrible. And the thing is, Trump had for the argument saying that he just had 10 months. That 10 months was the most important because that's where the most political capital comes from, especially the first 6 months. Every president usually have a strong high at the first 6 months because that's where they have the most political capital, and he fucking squandered it. They completely squandered it. I mean, just 2 months in, they squandered it.
You're absolutely right about that, and it's difficult to explain that to someone who just wants to scream, well, it's only been 10 months. The concept of political capital is a strange one for people that don't follow politics. It's like, if something's popular, then just get it done. The problem is, most of the stuff just can't be waved with the magic wand by the Trump administration and have it be done. You're going to need people that are Republicans, and in some cases, you're going to need to convince people across the aisle to support things, to pass legislation, etc. There are certain things you could do, But political capital is not just your ability to influence politicians. It also comes from sort of your ability to influence their constituents that then put pressure on those politicians. And you are absolutely right. Your political capital, think of it like if you really want to be nerdy, think of it like a magic points bar and like a role-playing game. Like you have 100 magic points. And when you use 20 to deal with Ukraine, Russia, and 20 to deal with Israel, Palestine, and 20 to deal with Venezuela, now you're running out of points. And it's like, okay, well, we need you to use those points for this shit back home. Like you got to start pushing. And now we see what's happening is it may be too late, at least going into the midterms, where it trickles down and the Republicans in Congress are going to negatively be affected by, look, we gave you guys total control over the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and you've done nothing that we care about domestically. So even if they start doing those things now, they're going to be behind the eight ball, and it's going to be more difficult. Like, you can see a project like Doge. Doge couldn't be started up right now. If it wouldn't have been started up and he tried to 10 months in, there's just not the political will to get it done right now. He had this exciting opportunity at the beginning. You had Make America Healthy Again with RFK. You had Doge. You had Kash Patel. You had Tulsi. You had the ability to all of a sudden start doing these amazing things domestically. You had Tom Homan, trying to deport everyone. And instead it was like a bunch of shit about tariffs, a bunch of foreign policy shit, and some surface level shit here back home. And now it may be too late. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping if we pressure enough as a base that he'll redirect. And there is rumors that starting January, he's going to massively have a shakeup with his team. But the last thing I'll say is, look, say what you will about Vance and 2028. Even if I could accept, yes, of course, I'm going to vote for Vance or DeSantis or whoever the Republican candidate may be. Even if I could accept that, for the presidency, what is my incentive to vote for a Republican in Congress?
Absolutely none.
I don't even know.
Absolutely none. The thing is, Mark Mitchell have mentioned earlier before, the special elections that the base, like, the vote, like looking at his polling and all that, they like Trump, but they just don't trust Republicans because Trump himself is a different figure. He's not an actual conventional Republican. Well, he's becoming more conventional Republican now since all these people are getting into his ear, for forcing him to go this way, mainly because he has a lot to lose. The problem with a lot of these politicians, they have a lot to lose, so they just end up towing the line anyways. But the problem is conventional Republicans are just terrible. They're weak, ineffective, terrible, and just completely just a joke. They're supposed to be like the party of strong men and all that, but they're weak. They're worse than, at least with Democrat men, as evil as they are, they're more effective, despite being evil, despite having the most egregious things that they say and egregious things they've done. At least they're not weak. I mean, a lot of them look weak and all that, but they're really not, because they will engage. They will actually be more destructive, despite the fact they look weak and all that. But the problem with Republicans, they're weak. They actually are weak. They just toe the line. That's why they're not trusted. Then we like Trump, but we don't trust Republicans. It's one of the reasons why they in that young generation, they swung heavily to Trump, but they also voted for Mondani, or like they voted for Trump in AOC's district, but they also voted for her too, because they view Trump and AOC and Mondani as the same thing. Like we're not part of the establishment. We don't toe the line. They really do. Yeah, it's just that character.
People are gonna
character.
Yeah. Well, Miggy, thanks so much for the call. I'll let you go, but I always appreciate it, man. I'll give you the last word, then I'll answer this.
Well, not one step back.
Thanks, Miggy. Always appreciate it, man. You have a good one. We'll talk to you soon, man. I mean, I've said this before. People want populism, and if they don't get it from the right, they're going to go to the left. And so you're going to see characters like Mamdani that are elected, because that's seen as a popular. I think that's a huge disaster. I think Mamdani will be an epic disaster. But I understand it. I understand why people voted for AOC. They feel like the current system has thrown them overboard and doesn't give a shit about them. Look, the standard of living, it's weird that these two things could be true simultaneously. If you were born at any point in the United States in the past 50 years, and you're relatively healthy, you're amongst the luckiest people that have ever been born. Like, you couldn't ask for a location in time much better than in the United States in the past 50 years. And even now, as negatively as we talk about a lot of these situations, objectively, if you look at it, I mean, we're still better off than we would have been like anywhere, say, circa 1600. And you're still better off in the United States than if you were born in like, Nigeria or Somalia. Like, we understand that. And largely that's because of technological advances and other things we've had that have made things like food easily accessible to a lot of us, even if it's junk food. At least those sort of things exist. And there's a lot more you could do that's sort of bells and whistles that seemingly make you happy, like your cell phone and shit like that. So with all of these advances, you would expect like, well then what's there to bitch about? Well, because simultaneously, there's certain things that we've taken for granted. There's cultural things. Like, we don't really fully understand how important traditional family values are to people. And how, like, maybe it's better to have less technology and more strong family bonds. And more husbands married to wives with children. Maybe that's more important. And even if you take that out of the equation and you just look at like, well, let's just look at economic activity. Yeah, it's true that maybe a young person today doesn't have to struggle for food like they would have in like 1920. But things like home ownership from the height of what the United States was is increasingly becoming a dream. The wealth of this country and the productivity is exponentially increasing, and yet the beneficiaries of that seem to be the very poor and the very rich. Those of us that are trying to work for a living, it seems like we get less and less control of the shares of the pie. And why is that? There's no end to the amount of programs and sympathy for the people that are very poor, many of which are able-bodied and not trying. But heaven help you if you're someone that wakes up every day and punches a time card. No one cares about that. And these young people that are struggling, they're looking for answers. Why is it that I could look at my parents' generation and see they could afford a home at 30? Why can't I? That's a problem. And it should be a problem for the older generation. My goodness, everyone's dream, you would think, is to leave the world a better place for their children. And the trend seems to be reversing. And it seems to be reversing culturally as well. I'm sorry, call me a bigot, call me a racist. I don't give a shit. I don't want this country to become Somalia. I don't want it to become Dearborn, Michigan. I was talking to my friend Zach Gilby. He's like, you'd be shocked in Maine. The amount of people like Somalians that have been imported there. I don't want that for my children. I like a country that was raised on people that had values that are very similar to mine. I like that. I don't give a shit if you're white, black, whatever. I don't even give a shit your religion if you're able to sort of push for the values that I think are beneficial to a society. Is that what we see in Dearborn? This is the United States in 2025. Female genital mutilation is a term that our children will be very familiar with. That's fucking insane. How can that be the case? And I'm tired of sitting around pretending that somehow I'm a bad person for noticing that. Fuck you. I don't care anymore. Call me whatever name you want. You want to be a Muslim dude and you want to call in and criticize me? Oh, you're just sitting there in front of your computer screen. Fuck you. I don't care. Your opinion means very little to me. There are people that I trust, and sometimes I do run afoul, and they'll tell me, and that's good. But it ain't you. And so, yeah, I get it, Miggy. You know, when I say what's the reason to vote Republican, well, there's one reason, that they're not the Democrats, who are worse. But that'll only take you so far. At some point, we're going to need someone whose name isn't Donald Trump to inspire people against what we see from the excesses of the left. Who is it? Ain't nobody in Congress, or at least if it is, they're alone and they're incapable of doing anything to make any sort of headroads. Hunter Killer, $2 says, he had the cousin husband beard. He didn't like it when we took it to religion, did he? Meredith $5 says, not one step back. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Lavin, $10 says, I see people on the right always talking about who the Dems will have in 2028. But we need to focus on who will have, because if the best we have is JD Vance, we're screwed. I don't know. I think Vance is pretty good, if I'm honest. Basically, the one knock on Vance is Palantir. And it's like, okay, let me show you this quote Vance said the other day. I think Vance has the potential to be quite possibly the best politician in my lifetime. Trump says, I won't hear anything more about an affordability crisis. Here's what Vance says. Well, wait a minute. Where'd it go? After 4 years of house prices doubling and in some areas tripling, many young people feel priced out of the American dream of homeownership. A welfare fraud scandal in Minnesota reveals the large numbers of new arrivals aren't assimilating and are funneling our tax dollars to literal terrorist groups. An innocent woman was set on fire in Chicago as the mayor resists federal law enforcement resources to bring peace to one of our great cities. The Obamacare insurance system is buckling under its own weight, and the country's $38 trillion in debt. Our administration is working hard on addressing all these problems. But you know what really fires up the Beltway GOP? Not any of the above. Instead, the political class is really angry that Trump administration may finally bring about a 4-year conflict and the Eastern European to a close. I'm not even talking about the substance of their views. Much of what these people have said about the Ukraine has been proven wrong, but whatever, we can agree to disagree. But the level of passion over this one issue when your own country has serious problems is bonkers. It disgusts me. Show some passion for your own country. Now, there is no doubt in my mind that that JD Vance is sort of hamstrung based on the fact that he's under Donald Trump, and that I understand. But at least he's talking about issues back home. Oak Reserve, I'm open. Tell me, what's your issue with Vance? Peter Thiel? Is that it? He has connections with Peter Thiel? By all means, tell me who you support over JD Vance. And let's see who their connections are. Or if there's more to it, I'm open to hearing it. All I ever hear about, JD Vance and Peter Thiel. So there. Okay? I mean, there's literally not a national level politician I could think of that I can't point to some sort of shady connection they have. Not one. So I get it if it's like, here's the guy. Here's who it should be other than JD Vance. I'm open to hearing that. But every time I ask people, like, okay, everyone, like, so many people are like, I hate Vance. He's the worst. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, like, what? Well, Peter Thiel, Palantir. It's like, okay, sure. Fuck Peter Thiel and Palantir. And I guess, yes, they were connected to JD Vance. But who is that isn't? How many are connected to Bill Gates? How many are connected to George Soros? How many are connected to Rupert Murdoch? How many are connected to Zuckerberg? How many are connected to Elon Musk? I mean, so if I'm forced to choose, yes, if there's someone with the intelligence of Vance that's saying the right things and focused on policies that I think are good that's not connected to someone like Peter Thiel, of course I choose that person over JD Vance. Who is that person? I don't know. I think JD Vance will be more against H-1Bs. He won't be totally for banning them, but I think he'll be far more against them. Hated Trump back in 2016. That could be said of a lot of people. Hell, a lot of people that supported Trump in 2016 hate him now. Shall we go back to the Epstein file debacle? His name is an anagram of the reptile. Fair enough. That's a solid point, finally. All right, let's get to the next call. Did I miss someone? Oh, my goodness. Potentially criminal Sean, $20 is Happy Turkey Day. God bless America. USA, Uber Alice. California, Uber Alice. California, Uber. Anybody know that song? Pat Fricker, 20 memberships. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Pat. I know you were listening to the great Scott Adams as we shared a time slot today. True story. The reason that I decided to stream at noon instead of 10 a.m. was Scott Adams. Because Scott starts streaming at 10, and I like listening, and I assume that at least some of my audience also likes Scott Adams. Look at that! First concert I ever went to, the Dead Kennedys. Jello wasn't with him, though. He had a restraining order against East Bay Ray. That's a story for another day. Next up, we have the wonderful Premonition. Premonition, how you doing today?
Good morning, dear.
How's it going?
Oh, fine. Okay, I'm going to speak very quickly, and you have a very intelligent audience. I'm going to say two things about me. I spend all of my time in contemplation, and I think on very large scales, planetary and galactic, literally. So let me get this out very quickly. There is, I know that way back, there were huge mass migrations that were at times, for instance, I believe the Muslims invaded Spain way back, and the Spaniards eventually pushed them back into their area. But right now, and there's two topics I'm going to cover very, very quickly because I know you have other callers. Right now, we have the largest planetary migration of humans in known history. And that is ripping apart everything that everybody had in place. In every category from A to Z, it's ripping it apart because there are probably 1 billion people in motion, and they are not assimilating. They will never assimilate. So on the other side of this, we can't even conceive of what it's going to look like. We can't even go there mentally because we don't know when it's going to slow or if it's going to slow and who's going to be where when it slows. But, and I'm not going to go here very much, but there are races of people who are going to be nearly eliminated if this, and it's going to continue. There is no stopping it now. It's like trying to hold back a tsunami, a planetary wide tsunami. There's no stopping it, and there's nowhere to run either. I've been trying to figure out where we can run. There's nowhere to go.
Now, let me stop you. I don't know that it's black pill time yet. For example, you could have been speaking when the Moors took over Spain, right?
Yeah.
And it was too late. It was way too late. And yet we saw a handful of
drove them
Christians
back.
basically drove them back. So I don't think it's black pill time at this point. Certainly on the continued trajectory, if no one rises up, then yeah, I think you're right. I think that if you look at the
Yes.
immigration numbers, if you look at sort of the birth rate numbers, then yes, simple mathematics will tell you that inevitably Islam is going to outpace all other religions and ethnicities.
Yeah,
That's certainly
it's
true.
not immigration, it's invasion. It's actually migration. It's no longer immigration. You can either call it an invasion or a migration. Either way, it's the same
Right.
thing. So the other thing I want that I'm going to jump across to a slightly different but the same topic that people that I myself had an epiphany 2 weeks ago. And there's like 600 things that I want to talk to you about, but of course we can't. Over the next year or so, we'll cover them all. People in the United States. All right, we need to think back. The ships. Think of the ships that we had at the beginning, 200 years ago to 400 years ago. They were little itty bitty wooden ships. People don't understand how small, like the Santa Maria was. It was a little teeny tiny ship. And they sunk. These ships sunk. So when we are blamed, you and I, are blamed for the abduction of those who were brought here against their will, it was not us who were living in the United States. It was not us doing that, because if you look at it, if you look at it by the numbers, the way you've got to get from North America down across the Atlantic Ocean, okay, through hurricane zones in little bobbing ships, okay? Then you land on the African coast. Nobody's ever been there. I mean, nobody that came from the United States, Northern America, has ever been to the African coast. So they park their ship, they get off, they go, and then what? What do? They chase people around, then they capture them. That's impossible. It's not possible. That isn't how it went. And then they drag people back onto these ships, and then they try to bob back over the Atlantic Ocean up to the northern United States. That is not how it went. We are not the ones who did it. We did purchase those who were captured by others who had invaded the North African regions and the African regions from the Mediterranean area. In other words, it was their own people who went in, they captured them, then they brought them north to the Mediterranean area, then they sold them, and we mistakenly made purchases. Then we bobbed across the ocean from the closest point and distributed those people, and that was our mistake. We should not have purchased any of those people who had already been captured.
Well, listen.
But we didn't do it. We didn't go over there and capture anybody. We couldn't have. Our ships would have sunk.
So yes, certainly true. It's certainly true that the majority of people that were sold in the transatlantic slave trade were at first captured by black people. And there is a myth that somehow it was just like you have the sort of noble savage myth in the United States, that you had all of these native tribes that were living in peace and harmony, and then the evil white man came. That's bullshit. The same is true in Africa. It was not that. It was this peaceful place where everyone was getting along happily, and then white men came and shoved them all on ships. That's not what happened. What happened was that there was a lot of different tribes, and just because to an outsider you might say, oh, all of these people are ethnically the same people, while it may be true in a like sort of phenotypical sense, they look the same. They had huge disagreements, differences, conflicts, etc. And when a tribe won, they would capture the other, and then they would own them as slaves, and they would sell them as slaves within other tribes. And they certainly were willing to sell them as slaves to these Europeans that are coming over that have all these wondrous technologies that, oh my goodness, look at all this cool shit we could get now by sending these slaves. Absolutely true. The truth of the matter, I don't know that I would characterize it as like a mistake. It certainly was a mistake. That's something you'd say, but I think it was more than that. The truth of the matter is, slavery is despicable. It is. And let there be an ethnicity or a history that you could go back of any sort of peoples that doesn't engage in those sorts of practices. The truth is, human nature has been incredibly brutal, right? And we've seen a large history of winners being absolutely despicable to the losers. You could go all across the world. You could throw a dart, and if you start looking at the histories of the people there, you'll see the terrible treatment that the winners inflicted upon the losers. Simple example comes to mind. This isn't even the worst. Genghis Khan, he would go into a village and be like, listen, here's the deal. You either swear fealty to me, or we will devastate, we will salt the lands, we will kill every man, we will have our way with every woman and then kill her, we will brutally kill every child. We do not give a shit. Every single one of you. We don't care. And that sort of was the point. We're doing this on purpose to instill fear, and so what happens is, when we talk about sort of going back and looking at the histories of peoples, we are always selective, and we do so from people that come from a European ancestry. And the reason is because they hate white people. And they want to say, because white people, quote unquote, or the West in general more, because the West is sort of on top of civilization today, then we're going to tear them down. So when you go back, for example, if we're like, we'll give the land back to the Native Americans, which one? The Iroquois? Then are they forced to give it back to the Algonquin, who they conquered?
Right, or the Mongols who came across the land bridge. I mean, they're all descendants of the Mongols, who are descendants of Genghis Khan. Every Asian on Earth is a descendant, almost, just about every Asian on Earth is a descendant of Genghis Khan through the genetics. Yeah, so what I'm saying is, people thinking on smaller scales on how do we stop this, and the people demanding reparations from you and I I have my family history, the entire thing, all the way back. My family was wise enough to do that. We didn't own anybody. We were not a part of that. And the reparations thing, and they need to realize that it wasn't us. Yes, some of our guys made the purchases.
But if I could just cut you off, they know that. They don't give a shit.
Yeah,
that's the whole point. They don't care. Of course they know. Of course they know. They just don't give a shit. Well, it's not just money. It is they look, if I look at you as evil, if I look at you as the enemy, and I know that you're someone that's introspective, I'll say, look what you do. How dare you point out my degeneracy? Look at your degeneracy. Look how bad. Look at the histories of your people. You ought to be ashamed. Now, once whites are minorities in their own countries, they're not going to get treated with the same treatment that whites offer to other people that were minorities in their countries. That's not going to happen. There's not going to be a big white minority movement that people give a shit about. No, they're going to say, fuck you. You were the conquerors and now you've been conquered and fuck you. We'll treat you like that. We're going to treat you like dog shit because that's what you deserve. Now, if you're black and you're listening to this, you're like, good, finally. No, because you're still going to be about 13% of the population because abortion's so prolific in the black community. So it's going to be Hispanics. And you're going to try to pull this shit with Hispanics, right? You're going to be like, well, we feel like we've been oppressed and whatever. And Hispanics are going to go, we don't give a fuck. That shit don't work on us. We don't give a shit about any of that. And so all of the magnanimity that you expect from sort of people of European ancestry, you're not going to get it with other groups. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it when Sharia law comes. They're going to say, we don't give a shit. You can't say, but wait, we're going back to the history of like Islam and look at the vile things that your countries have done. They're going to say, sweet, and we'll do it again. And you're going to shut your mouth and take it. It's only the European countries that are willing to say, oh my gosh, that have this sort of suicidal empathy. But I got to let you go. I'll give you the final word here.
No, they're collapsing now. People need to remember your first caller today and understand that he's not kidding. That guy's not kidding when he said what he said. And I agree. I think it was Andrew's debate with the guy that is going to have people falling upon you, and we will stand behind you because you are our general of our division. But I give love to the family, and we will continue the conversation. And I hope that everybody has a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Premonition. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye, dear.
All right. Now, Avarice is yelling at me at the back. I'm going to bring him up for a moment. No one's donating money. What are we doing wrong here, Avarice?
That's because you've not been grifting.
I know, but I've had interesting callers. I'm trying to talk to the callers.
Yes.
So we gotta. You know what it is.
I wanted to yell at that guy so bad.
I know.
I was sitting in the back, and I was like, he gave me the power to come up here, and I know that with power comes great responsibility, and I need to sit back here like a good leashed dog. I was sitting back here just like, I want at him so bad.
It's just like, I mean, no help necessary for that guy. He just brings nothing to the table. But,
I didn't want to help him that way. I just wanted to call him bald and useless.
Bald chin beard, man.
What do you mean a dad doesn't hang Christmas lights? What the fuck do you mean?
If all the insane shit, like the idea that he was like at 10:13,
babe.
Like that was the issue. Wait a minute,
this is above men. Just get on this ladder.
I wish that he would stop sparking out so I could have like, what is the masculine time of day to hang Christmas lights? Because I was unaware. I was unaware that the time that you're hanging them has to do with whether or not it's a feminine or homosexual activity. Like, is there certain at 10 a.m. till 11 a.m. it's homosexual, but then from 11 to 1 that's feminine. Now, if you're hanging them between 1 and 5 p.m., now you got a masculine activity, and then back to homosexual from 5 until the rest of the day. Is that the timing of it? I don't know. I don't know what.
It's just hang the lights a little higher. This is above men. Hold on.
Yes.
2 inches higher.
It's good
plug
stuff.
it in.
Now, over on Rumble, Byron, thanks so much, man, says, you know me, Rob, just poking in with another book recommendation, Shadowland by Peter Straub. Almost done with it. Cannot praise it enough. It's a read I'd suggest to anyone there. Thank you so much.
We haven't heard anything about dinosaurs recently. Where has that man been?
I assume everyone's been very generous with the Thanksgiving donations. So I kind of assume that, donations will be scant from a lot
okay,
of the people.
listen, but that wasn't even for us. People didn't realize we are providing you with
Oh,
good,
that's
high
right.
quality entertainment here. Well, maybe not me, but Rob definitely is.
Oh, no,
So
I think you're included.
get those donos in. That's a good time to do it. One thing
my
before
wife
I
says
do.
Christmas lights are a garage job. I don't do garage jobs. I did, however, just have a screwdriver to fix the washing machine. That was in the garage. I was there begrudgingly. Yes, that's that. I would put like hanging lights and shit as like more of the traditional husband duty.
Yeah.
Right? Like taking out the garbage, husband duty. Mowing the lawn, husband duty. Hanging up lights, cleaning gutters, that's husband duty.
But how dare you hang lights? You're fat. That's
true.
impossible.
I'm trying to lose weight. The hanging lights may help a little in that.
All right. Well, let's before I head back down, I just want to say one thing. All right. We're good. Zach Gelpy, everybody. That's Zach Gelpy, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks. Real quick, Paximo, $10 says, grift harder, damn it. I'm trying. And Bruce for $5 says, let's see some more super chats, chat. What do you think, Zach? I think that I don't know.
I got to say this first. I got a couple of things to go over with you. But the first thing I have to say is you're a Jewish lawyer and Jewish accountant. You need to grift better.
Yes. Yes.
You need, I mean, I only have so many shekels in my Jewish safe that
guy was. Yeah, I'm
around.
not wrong that guy was implying like Christmas lights, like I'm clearly Jewish. That's right. That was the implication.
That was the implication. Yeah, that was. And you know what? You could pass off as being part of the tribe. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, people always said we look like brothers, so maybe it's a big ruse on my part.
It's so funny though when I tell people I'm Jewish, they're like, "Really? You look Italian." But
yes, yeah. I don't know. I think that there'll be a lot more heat. I mean, the problem is when you go after one of these sort of, and go after is a strong word. When you debate one of the prominent Muslim debaters, then you bring out a lot of people.
You bring the Dawa, when you go after their Dawa kings, their Dawa gods, you're gonna, face the ire of the rest of the Dawa. It is what it is.
I'm just offended they didn't.
All you guys have to learn, David Wood says this a lot. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not, but just learn that Islamic dilemma, and that's really kicking the shit out of Dawa these days. So
I'm just offended that they didn't send their best. They sent that guy who he must be on the bench. That is
their best, Rob.
10-13 hanging up Christmas lights. That's
just like Andrew said. Israel, the size of New Jersey, with 9 million people in it, fighting against 2 billion people. Yep. That is their best. But anyway, there's a couple things. I forget her name, but who's just
premonition. Yeah.
She made a very good point, and I want to read this excerpt real quick. This is the first draft of the Declaration of Independence. Now, to give you an idea, the Declaration of Independence, before they had to send it, had to be agreed upon by every single colony, and including every single line they voted on every single line of this. So I just want to read this real quick of what Thomas Jefferson wrote, okay? He has waged cruel war against human nature itself, violating its most sacred rights of life, liberty, in the persons of a distant people who never offended him, captivating and carrying them into slavery in another hemisphere, or to incur miserable death in their transportation thither. I don't know Old English very well.
Right.
I apologize. This heretical warfare and operarium of infidel powers, key word, infidel powers, is the warfare of the Christian king of Great Britain. What he's saying there is where we were actually buying the slaves from were the Moor, or not the Moors, but the
African tribes.
Well, not just African tribes. They were North African, mostly is where we were buying from, which was primarily the Barbary pirate area. Which in the future, after that, we actually waged war against the Barbary pirates because they were enslaving our sailors. But the whole point is, what he's saying is, this so-called Christian king wasn't Christian because he was doing the slave trade. He was benefiting through the slave trade. And there was every single colony. So there were 2 representatives for each colony. Every single person voted for this except for 2 states. You know what those 2 states were? South Carolina and Georgia. The very same states that started the Civil War.
Yeah.
So, you know, it all of this, whether it's Israel, whether it's happening in the United States, whether there's a common denominator, and it has to do with religion. It doesn't have to do with anything else. It's not about land. It's about power and religion. That's what I wanted to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. And I do think that what we see is that we've sort of rewritten history. What you do is you take groups or characters that you don't like right now, right? And then you rewrite history to paint it as if you hyper-focus on the negatives, right? And let out sort of the broader context of what's going on in order to shame just certain groups. We never do that with other groups. Like, imagine, like, you know, it's deemed horribly offensive, but the first time I heard someone say this was Scott Adams, and it was actually brilliant. He's like, if you really factored reparations in the way that they ought to be, then blacks would owe everyone else in the United States. Why? Because the true way to calculate would be to look, what would you be making if you never were brought to the United States? So how things looking in Africa right now? Oh, the average sort of, you know, earnings of a person is super low. Well, what's the difference between what you're making now and then? Right? So you're better up. Not that we would justify the slave trade or anything like that, but if you want to paint a full comprehensive look at a very complex and difficult picture of humanity, well, you have to look at the pros and the cons, not just the cons when it comes to certain groups and the pros when it comes to others. And, you know, one of the arguments that I pushed for, and I'm glad Andrew made in his debate with Hakikachu, was actually prior to Islam, like many of the countries that we look at now that we were criticizing in that debate, like Yemen or, you know, a lot of these Middle Eastern countries, right? They actually were in many ways the cradle of civilization, right? What happened? It's not that biologically these people were inferior. So how do you explain the low IQs now? Islam. That's how you explain it. I mean, I'm sorry. It's true. And the argument that Andrew made there, again, this is another thing. It's not convenient to say, right? Inbreeding's terrible in Islam. That doesn't mean everyone, that Hakikachu guy, full respect to him in this sense, he didn't sound like an overly dumb person. I think he's an intelligent man. I'm sure his IQ's on par, if not excessive to mine. But as an average, if we look at these countries where Islam has dominated, it's horrible. It's horrible how low IQ they are, and that's really a problem. It's not just a matter of like, oh, they're a point or two below what we would consider most European countries. It's devastatingly low to the point where it's hard to have civilizations operate and have things like infrastructure, sewage systems, roads. These things become difficult when your like average IQ for a nation is below these levels. And the fact that we're supposed to just be like, no. Anytime there's problems with anything in the world, it's the West's fault. That means it's Jewish people's fault. It's Christian people's fault. It's the United States' fault. Everywhere. Every population. I saw someone, where was it the other day? On Bill Maher's show. They brought in that Killer Mike guy that's a rapper. And they brought up Haiti. What do you think he said the problem with Haiti is? France. France is continuing to exploit Haiti. It's not the Haitian people. They've never done anything wrong.
Right.
These poor bastards have just been constantly victimized by the West and France, and it's insulting. At some point, not only is it insulting, it actually is bigotry from the opposite angle, because what you've done is you've taken away personal agency. Well, you know, they can't help themselves.
It's the bigotry, soft bigotry of low expectations, and the other thing. I just want to have this real quick. Are you familiar with Howie Carr at all?
It sounds familiar, but I don't think so.
Well, he has this quote, and I'm going to steal it from him. So, Daniel Kikachu, you can tell two things. He is definitely Dawa for sure, and he's a Harvard.
Explain what Dawa means to the people that don't know.
So, Dawa is Muslims. It's the greater Muslim nations, basically. So that's what it means. So and that it's their way of apologetics. It's Muslim. So like Pikachu is a Muslim apologetics, debater. That's what he does for a living. And you can always tell a Harvard man, you just can't tell him much, and that's certainly the case. He's a Dawa, and he went to Harvard, so both on both counts. But the other thing that it's crazy to think that these folks hate. I mean, he was heated when you said you were putting on Christmas lights. He was heated. I know that there's a lot of people, and I haven't seen it lately in your chat, but I've seen it, and I've seen it throughout the place. I never met a Jewish person who gave a shit about Christmas lights. Yep. I grew up with my parents going to see. There's like some in a town next door. They're famous for this street is famous for their Christmas lights. Just because we don't celebrate Christmas doesn't mean we don't appreciate Christmas. So there's levels of who your enemy actually is. One is trying to assimilate, but also wants their homeland. And one wants to control the entire world and is allying with communists in order to destroy the West.
Well, this is what I've said. Now listen, right? Like, I'm not trying to get into a broader conversation about the history of Israel-Palestine.
No,
I will say that. Right. Just saying for my audience, right? I will say this, though. The mistake that people have made is when they see and they have certain criticisms of Israel, let's say that to them those criticisms are real. Okay, fair enough. The mistake is these people, the most virulent people, particularly on the left that are anti-Israel, want you to die. They're the people celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk. That's who they are. If you drew a Venn diagram of the people at these Ivy League colleges that are these radical left-wingers that are like, from the river to the sea, if you took a Venn diagram of them and the ones that celebrated the murder of Charlie Kirk and wanted to keep vigils off of campus, it's a fucking circle. And so that's fine. If you want to be like, we don't want to fund Israel, we have criticisms, no problem. But I hope that I could convince you of this at least. These people are not your friends on the left. These Islamic people that are like that dude that called in, assuming he's Islamic, and certainly a lot others that I've met, they don't fucking like you. And they're not secretive. They hate you.
Ben Shapiro is closer aligned with our politics. Now, I have some issues with Ben Shapiro when it comes to, we don't have the same conservative mindset for sure. I will say that. But he's closer along the lines of us than Cenk Uygur.
Yeah. It's funny. I find myself in a position too where it's like, I'll be like, we need to stop funding Israel. And people will be like, anti-Semite. Right? I get that. And then people will be like I go on Tim Pool's show and this dude's spurging out about Israel. And I'm like, hey man, can we talk about like domestic politics or here? And David Icke says that I'm Tim Pool's Jewish friend. It's like, you can't win either way. All I'm trying to say is this, right? Yeah, you can hate both. You can hate Israel and Palestine. I don't give a shit. You can hate whoever you want. I'm merely here to tell you this. And anyone who wants to challenge me to this, I'd be willing to have this debate. The average Jewish person like particularly conservative Jewish person, but I think you could say average anyways, in the United States would be absolutely tolerable to live next to, even if their population increases. I cannot say the same about Islam. I can't. And I don't know how more blatant I can put it than that.
Just look at Lewiston, Maine. There are places in Lewiston, Maine, there are actual no-go zones, meaning if you look like us, you can't go or you're going to get liable to be shot.
I'll tell you this.
Police don't even go there.
If you were at DebateCon, like there was a feeling that like shit could have got really heated and potentially violent based on what Andrew was saying, right, about Islam in that debate. Had he been debating a Jewish person, would anyone have batted an eye? Like, well, shit might get violent here. I don't think so. Now, maybe they would have said, Andrew's going to get debanked or some shit like that. But, I mean, there is a difference.
Would have heard a lot of oy veys, maybe.
Right. And I'm not here to convince, listen, I'm not here to convince anyone that's like, I have problems with Israel. That's not the point of what I'm saying here. And I don't even think it's the point of what you're saying here. The point is, like, there is a repeated pattern. People wanted to like go through these crazy histories of like Jewish people and like, oh, let's look here, there. Like, it is blatant. You don't even have to be a historian. There is a pattern. Every time that you see Islam get to about 20% into a country, things radically change. Radically. And all of a sudden they start dominating culturally, politically, and when they do, they don't give a shit about you. They hate you. They hate you if you're not of their religion. It's not just, well, let's go ahead and do your thing. That's not how they treat things. And listen, I want to be clear here. I've known, at least in my life, 2 Muslims that are amongst the nicest people I've ever met. That I would trust them, that great dudes. But we're talking about the average and what happens when people come in on average. And I just think that, that the evidence is overwhelming to see. Again, any criticisms that people have with Israel, fine. I think that, one of the things, I hate to fucking even broach this subject about Nick Fuentes, but I saw him complaining about Tucker Carlson the other day, calling him an anti-Semite. Take that for what you will. But one of the things he said, yes.
It's like the pot calling the kettle black on that one.
He's like, I don't dislike Jewish people. I hate Zionism. And he's like, yes, maybe true. But what I think's funny is, if you believe him or not, at least he has the wherewithal to say that. And when I have these people that call in that are like, Rachel Wilson needs to be kicked out of this country because she may be 1/16 Jewish. It's like that hatred of that level, I will never understand. It's like, that is so fucking batshit crazy, irrational. I don't even know how you could possibly justify it. Like, Rachel, Orthodox Christian, right, wrote this book that they're all like, oh yeah, we love this book. Unfortunately, though,
her and her husband are fighting, these lefties on a daily basis to save our freedoms.
And
someone wants to kick.
Yes, but if we did a blood test, and I'm here to tell you right now, I don't fucking know my ethnic. I kind of know that my dad was majoritarily Italian. I know that my mom had a little bit of Irish in her. I think she's red hair. But I don't know. I've never done a blood test. I've never sought to really look into it. It's not beyond the pale that there's some Jewish blood in me. I guess I'm deported too then? I don't fucking know or care. How irrational do you have to be to take things to that level? To that level that it's like, well, even if you're mistakenly Jewish. And then the person that was saying that was telling me they were half black and they maybe should be deported as well. It's like, oh, sweet God. Like,
they wanted to deport themselves?
Maybe. They couldn't decide. Yes. That's how irrational it was. And you're just like I'll never get this level of like sort of, look, I'm all for standing up for your own ethnicity and shit like that. But to where you're getting to the point where it's like we should blood test people. And if they are 1/16 someone of another race, get them the fuck out. It's like there's no rational conversation possible at this point. That's just insanity. Now, you could say, I personally choose to only, date someone that's pure-blooded at the end. I think it's wacko, but sure, whatever. Sure. But to kick people out of the country, it's just fucking.
I have no issue with that at all. You want to date whoever you want to date.
Sure.
You have your preferences. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's plenty of Jews that fought for this country. In fact, one of the oldest synagogues in the United States was built, I think, in the like late 1600s, and they funded a majority of the Continental Congress themselves. So
Yeah.
I mean, this country wouldn't exist if it wasn't for those shekels. So you know, and there's plenty of people of all ethnicities that fought and died for this country. You know, the issue of ethnicities is not the problem. It's the fact that right now what we're seeing, and it's all sorts. I mean, if you look at when my mom came over from the Soviet Union, okay, when she got here, she thought of herself as American, not Russian. She thought of herself as American. My family thought of themselves as American. But when you see, I live, very close to a big Russian community. The Russians that are coming here now think of themselves as Russian. There's the distinction there.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing for everyone else that's coming. And it's because we lost the fact that people were coming here for not the promise of the freebies. They came here with risk to have a better life, maybe not for them, but for their future ancestors, for their children and grandchildren.
And that's
what we're losing.
We find ourselves in a position where, as someone who is white, I understand that there's a war against whiteness, right? There's a war against, like,
absolutely.
Listen, look, here's the thing, right? There have been people that are Jewish, like in the ADL, that have participated in that, and then there are Jewish people that find themselves on the victim of there's a war against Jewish people, right? Like, it's the same true of white people. Right? Yeah. How many people that are white that are like, and this is one of the arguments I made to, like, sort of the white nationalists. It's like, I understand the argument, like, looking at, like, in general, the average, and that's sort of the argument I was making in Islam, right? But it's like, why, if I had to choose a neighborhood, I had to choose a neighbor, and I could choose a black gentleman who, let's even say, is an atheist, a black atheist who has shown himself to be along the lines of what I consider to be a well-behaved member of society, like, agrees with me, is conservative, etc., or a white person who claims to be Christian, who's a super, Harvard Ivy League dude, super, like, trans, this and that. Why would I prefer to live in a neighborhood with the second guy as opposed to the first? Just because of their skin color? Or because, for me, it's like, I understand there's a reason that stereotypes exist, and that's not all bad. The problem is, sure, if you take the stereotype and you refuse to let go of it in knowledge of more specific evidence. And the example I always use is, our friend Manted, very tall dude, right, that was there. If I'm like, me and you are picking up a basketball team at DebateCon, right, and I get to pick first, I'm picking Manted, right, because he's really tall, right? Tall guys, good at basketball.
You're not picking me?
No, well, you're on the other team. You're the other captain.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So, so I would be like, I assume tall people are good at basketball. But if I pick him and he's dog shit, the next day when we're picking teams and I pick first, I'm not going to pick him. And someone might go, but Rob, don't you understand? Tall people are good at basketball. I could say, yes, in general. But the specific knowledge I have of this tall guy is he sucks. He sucks at basketball. So that specific knowledge outweighs the stereotype. This is sort of the criticism I've had with, like, the idea of white nationalism. Do I think that you should have the right to live in a community of like-minded people? Of course. But can the government legally enforce that certain people based on their ethnicity not be allowed into an area? No, that's too far. And it's also a pipe dream. It'll never happen, at least not as the United States is currently formulated. So it's not even worth.
I'm still okay with that. If you want to live amongst just white people, fine.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Same with black, same with Jewish, same Hispanic. I don't give a fuck.
I don't care. I fully support the neo-Yazis saying whatever they want to say. I fully support it, because if they lose their rights to say it, I lose my rights.
Right.
That's all what the freedom of speech is all about. Is that, and they're perfectly in their rights to hate who I am. But the big thing I wanted to talk about as well, real quick here, is The reason Republicans aren't doing shit in Congress is because conservatives have been complacent since the election. They're not pushing their own people to do anything in Congress. I mean, Trump only can do so much, but if their constituents aren't pushing as well, they're going to say to Trump, pound sand. And that's the issue. Yeah, the president is great. That's the shiny object. But that's not, as we see, that's not where the power lies. The power lies within the legislative branch. And that's where people really need to focus, not only on the federal level, but at the local level.
Well, and Jesse Kelly talks about this a lot, right? It's like the real problem, if you want to point to something simple to illustrate the problem in this country, you need look only to where deep red states and who they elect as representatives and senators, right? They are the most wishy-washy, fucking rhino, half liberal. And you would think like, man, these deep red states, you're going to get some motherfuckers there that'd be saying borderline crazy, too far right stuff, right? They'll be like, defund everything. We don't give a shit. And you're like, whoa, maybe not that, right? That's who you expect. Instead, it's the exact opposite. It's the Mitt Romneys. That's who you end up getting. And it's like, well, how does this occur? And the problem is we become complacent. Well, you're in this deep red state and you know a Republican will win, so you don't really give a shit. But you don't understand that, like, you should be out there like a dog, like, you know, hunting down a bone to find the best possible, most conservative person, because if they win the primary, they're a shoo-in to win the general. And so,
real quick, I have an anecdotal story one of my political mentors told me once. So I forget the congressman's name, but he was a congressman in Southern California. And I think I've told this at DebateCon a few times. I don't know. Forgive me if you've heard it, but for your audience. So this congressman, he was Hispanic in his deep blue Hispanic district. And he voted with the union bosses 80% of the time. That sounds great, right? Someone who votes with you 80% of the time? That sounds good. Well, the head of the SEIU in California decided to primary him. And they recruited this lily white, blonde hair, blue-eyed state senator to run against them in the primary, Democrat primary. And she ended up winning. And the press asked the union boss, well, you know, so-and-so, the congressman voted with you 80% of the time. Why did you support and back, you know, the other candidate? And the union boss said, well, in a normal district, even a, you know, slightly blue district, 80% of the time is great. But in such a blue district, we are not looking for someone who votes with us 80% of the time. We're looking for someone to vote with us 100% of the time. And that was the hide on their wall. That said to every other congressman, hey, if you're in a deep blue state or you're in a deep blue district, you better fucking vote with us. Because if you don't, you're fucking out.
And that's they play for keeps. Yep.
They have, and we need to have.
That's why they got judges.
We'll lose this country.
They have judges and attorney generals in all these blue states that they don't even give a shit. They don't even, they're farcical. They don't even pretend to be, you know, objective when it comes to the law because they're in it to win it. They're playing to win. And we're just like, well, you know, maybe it's time to reach across the aisle. Let's elect someone in this deep red state that's sort of willing to reach across the aisle. Or I just don't give a shit. You know, so a Republican will win. It'll be all right. So I know that's one of the things you're working on heavily is sort of instructing people about this mentality and why it's time to sort of start fighting back like that. So, hey, man, your primaries are important. They're going to be coming up here for 2026.
Yep.
Don't piss around. Like, let people know. Even if you don't have someone win, right? If you put enough fire under their feet where they're like, oh, shit, next time I might lose, says Lindsey Graham. Well, he's
when they feel the heat, they see the light, my friend.
That's it.
When they feel the heat, they see the light. And by the way, I haven't forgot about you. I will send that over to you as soon as possible.
Yeah, no problem. Zach, thanks so much, man. Always appreciate it.
Thank you. And grift.
Yes,
Rob,
I will. So we got Mirnichek on next. He won't mind if I take a moment to read a super chat here. Neighbor guy, $5 says, this time doesn't matter. What does matter is you're 5 or 6 beers deep before you get off the roof. Congratulations and continued success. Happy Thanksgiving. I will not be drinking beers before I get in the roof to hang up Christmas lights because what's the word I'm looking for? I don't have the best balance as it is. So I don't know. You're muted. Up.
I didn't mean you hug the wall.
Now listen, before we get to our final caller of the day, we have a half hour left in the show. Before we get there, I implore you, get those donations in to at least 75%. And I know why we haven't got to our goal yet. Avarice was about to tell me. I know what it is. So I present to you. Remember, get those super chats in.
This is the Rob Noerr Show. It's not the Noerr Rob Show. This is my favorite show because it is my show. If this was your show, you'd probably like it more. But maybe that's just because it was your show. But it's not your show. It's the Rob Noerr Show.
All right. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Oh!
This is the Rob Noerr Show. It's not the Noerr Rob Show. This is my favorite show because it is my show. If this was your show, you'd probably like it more. But maybe that's just because it was your show. But it's not your show. It's the Rob Noerr Show.
There we go.
Hey, now we're talking.
Look
Surely
at
the-
see, we got drunk. We got
Oh,
drunk Rob.
look
Look
at
at
that.
drunk Rob. There he is.
That Rob was not getting on the roof.
Look
I
at
don't even
drunk-
know that I was
Let's
that
get on
drunk.
the roof. Get
Yeah,
on the roof,
that's-
Rob.
Well, said if Corinth was here, I'd send him up on the damn roof. I'll tell you that right now. Get up there. You got this. Look at these donos that came in. AJC, what an absolute legend. $100. Thank you so much. Says to the Rob Noerr Show. Thank you so much. Dark Side Deacons? Do you think I'm getting that right? Dark
Oh,
Side.
that's Amanda. Deaconess.
Oh, okay.
That's
Excellent.
the lady. So if you saw the video, that's the chick that's chained to the fuck
Right.
oven. Yeah.
She broke the chain and now
broke
she's
the
becoming a
oven and
member.
she's getting
We
members.
love
Look
it.
at that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. She says, let's go. And then the great Zach Gelpy, $50 says, come on, guys, grift.
You see
Right
what you
now-
need? You just need a little avarice up here to do some Rob Noerr songs. That's what it was.
The Muslim guy that called in right now, seething, not only that I'm almost at the goal, but that we had a big, long conversation with Zach about not really caring too much for his sort of worldview. So he's seething with that one. So we're almost at
You didn't. I was in the back. I sat on my hands though, like a good avarice.
You did great. You did. Look at this guy. Unforced ego gets us to. Oh, we're at 99%. Gets
99%.
$21. Thank you. We're gonna wait. I'm not gonna do the gold thing. We're gonna pause the super chat. I mean, keep sending them in. We'll read them at the end. But right now, we're gonna bring in our friend Chuck. What's happening?
Hey,
Christmas
man,
lights.
Yeah.
Christmas lights, you bastard. What
Yeah.
are you trying to do, Christmas lights?
Pretty woman in November
Woman?
at 10:13 a.m.
I called it right away. As soon as I saw him on the screen, I'm like, Muslim.
Yeah,
But-
well, dude, I didn't realize until he said about the religion thing. Then it hit me. I was like, oh, I see
no,
what's
just-
going on here.
You see when I
I
see that
literally, it didn't
bulb?
even cross my mind. Like, and
I
then
see
it
the
made
bulb,
sense.
I see leftist. I didn't see Muslim right away. I was like, I just saw tomfoolery. I was like, all right, he's
it's
bald.
this thing, and it's always in the eyes. It's sort of like that dumb cow eye thing, like angry cow eyes. Like,
And then he's like, what are you doing? And okay, I'll admit, I sort of big manned a little and gave a list of things I was doing today and that I'd already done. And he's like, so you're not doing anything. I'm like, what? Okay. And simultaneously, it's all woman stuff. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Rob, let me just try something here, okay? So the three wise men brought Jesus gold, frankincense, and
Mer.
Unchuck. Mir and Chuck.
Oh!
Mir and Chuck.
Mir and Chuck.
Mir and
Gotcha.
Chuck.
What I always say. What I always say. I'd say it right, right? Now listen.
Now you do.
You're
Now
gonna
you do.
Mir and Chuck. Got it. Now listen. You're
Yeah.
gonna be real pissed about this. Is your first name
What?
John or Jay?
Jason.
Jay. Fuck. I almost said John and I would have looked like an asshole. Though I also look like an asshole for asking. So either way, asshole.
That's fine. That's all right. You know what? Last time. It's fine.
Look at Rob. We can show the audience. We can see. I'm just gonna repin it here for you, and you can play because you're better with the audio there. This one we can see my view on Muslims here. Maybe Mira and Chuck would like to respond. I gave you a link in the description to you in your Discord there. Yeah.
Oh, in Discord. Okay.
Yeah. Just go to Discord, and then that'll go right to a screen you already have up.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And then, oh yeah, Mir Chuck, you'd love this. I gotta hit it Muslims all in one hit. You're gonna love this.
He actually, Mr. Hakikachu actually reposted this and then responded.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Here we go.
Pikachu.
Using and maintaining AI requires a massive energy source and infrastructure in order to be used. If Muslims plan to use AI to make up for your retarded nations, how do you plan to implement the infrastructure and build the necessary power to use AI? When you can't even build your own technology, you buy it from middle management.
Poor James standing there.
And by middle management nations, in this case,
it's like, please don't stab me.
You might not understand. I mean, high IQ nations.
Here, let
me paint you a picture there. So you have your high IQ nations, and they have the AI, and you have the power sources, and you have the Neuralink, and everyone is plugged into the cloud, and you're like plugged into the masturbation machine with your nonstop virtual AI porn that you're addicted to, and that dopamine is surging. You're in a constant state of euphoria, and then guess what? The Muslims, the low IQ idiot Muslims that have been living in the desert with their donkeys, they're going to come and they're going to slaughter all of these people hooked up to the masturbation machine. They won't even be able to stand on their two legs because their legs have atrophied to such an extent that they can't even walk. That's the future of the West. That's the future of the high IQ.
Ah, right. We've heard enough here. Now the irony of go ahead.
How are they gonna make it to these places? Like they're on donkeys. Like how long does a donkey take to go from like Cairo to London?
He says it's gonna be donkey.
Can they swim?
Well, here's the thing, right? His whole argument was actually, by the way, thank you so much, Mike Ball, for the raid. Really appreciate it, man. The whole argument was sort of, if you heard the whole debate, he's on his back foot because Andrew correctly points out IQ differentials. And he's like, and the argument is like, now Andrew's being a little more like sort of aggressive than is necessary for the argument, but that's fine. It's Andrew's style and it's totally, no problem, right? But the argument, if I can make it in a non-offensive way as possible, it's just quite simply.
He's debating a Pokemon. So I mean, like, what are you going to do?
Right. Yes, an electric type. So he had to come with the water, to douse it out. Right, of course. But the whole argument was something like this. The IQ, once it gets below a certain level on average, it makes functioning societies very difficult, right? So the argument's not like the highest IQ wins. That's never the argument. And that seemed to be Daniel's pushback was like, well, but Ashkenazi Jews have higher IQ than predominantly white or Christian nations. And so therefore Ashkenazi Jews absolutely 100% win. Well, not really, because the argument was never, in fact, I would say, I was actually talking to a few people about this. I would guess that when it comes to like the ideal warrior type society, there's probably a diminishing return once IQ gets so high, right? So my guess would be it's something like 110 IQ. You want to be smart enough to build the equipment, to have strategy, to be able to take orders, to have infrastructure, all that shit. But also, once you get too smart, I think maybe your propensity for like legitimate violence probably decreases, right? So I don't know that maybe the 140 IQ man out in the battlefield, he might be like, nah, I'm good. I'm not going to charge in to the fucking, the beach at Normandy because my chance of survival is very low. It takes someone, that has a high enough IQ to understand the order, but also, nonetheless, the point I'm trying to make is it was never that. The argument wasn't highest IQ wins. It's that you need a minimal IQ for your societies to start. So he falls for this trap. And he's like, that's a good argument. So what's he say? But we'll bridge that gap with AI. Muslim nations will use AI. That's where Avarice's question comes in.
Well, but actually, here's the interesting thing, right? Like IQ scores, I understand why people use them as a stat, whatever. Fine, they're actually this is why Jews score so high on them. Generally speaking, they're skewed for two things, right? Mostly for mathematics and language. So people with high linguistic IQ can actually score quite high on overall IQ and be dog shit in every other category.
Right.
So here's the problem with the AI is that AI actually leans itself really well to be with high verbal IQs. So if you have a society, you could be killing it in mathematics, right, or spatial awareness or what are the other categories. But if your verbal IQ is dog shit, then you can't use AI.
Right.
So,
but the point, even aside from all of this, is like if you say, okay, your IQs on average are 100 and ours is 70. Right. And you're right. That's a problem. But we'll use AI. Like, even if you're right, that's not that simple. You're not going to be able to. And that's where Avarice's question gets to. But there's a more fundamental problem, which his answer to Avarice gets to, which he is criticizing the idea of AI and transhumanism.
Right.
And so the argument, like the counter to his argument is like, the only chance to fight the worst impulses of AI and transhumanism are people of a base level intelligence that can push back. The people of Yemen with an average IQ of 69, if Elon Musk converts to Islam and then runs for like president of Yemen, he'll win like that. And the next day, the next day he would have them using AI to the best of their ability and being guinea pigs for fucking putting chips in them. They wouldn't give a shit. They would accept it as long as it was in the name of Islam. And how do I prove that? Because even a smart Muslim like Kakikachu, as soon as he finds himself in the back foot, what's he jump to? AI will save us. That was his argument. So how could he claim that Islam will fight back against the worst impulses of AI and masturbation machines and this, that, and the other, when he's literally giving into that impulse in a simple debate, and he gives into that impulse?
Because they're magic brown people, Rob. That's just how they do. They're just magic that way. It's just they just wave a little magic wand and they solve humanity problems.
It'll all work
The other
out.
thing too is none of these things are these things aren't isolated. So let's say they 70 IQ. A society uses AI to raise their general IQ up to 110. Well, the society with 110 IQ is going to be using AI, and they're going to boost it to
140.
So, or whatever, right? So it's like, your point being, like, you're still going to be on the lower scale of all this. The other thing too is like numbers. Everyone's freaking out about numbers. Big giant numbers of people don't actually equate well if you don't have smart leadership. The Ukraine-Russia war is a prime example, right? I called this 2 years ago. I'm like, Ukraine needs to take that deal because Russia's going to turn up, just going to destroy them. And Russia did exactly what I predicted they were going to do, which is they took very, very low casualty rates, especially with their more experienced military. And now they have the most dangerous military on earth because they have the most experienced military on earth. And that's how you win wars. They could drop that military into any conflict zone and destroy everything, because they now have the most experienced people who can cool under fire.
I like him here on Chuck, but we're still second most dangerous. All right, there's nothing more dangerous than the American military. I stand on it. I'll sit on that bridge. I as a part of the United States.
You don't
military,
have the generals anymore.
I don't need the generals to know that our guns are bigger, our ships are bigger.
That doesn't matter.
And our people have more spirit.
I wouldn't go that far with Russia, but anyways, and I'm not a Russia stan. I'm Ukrainian, still Ukrainian nationalist. So it's like it's been a weird few years. But the point really you're getting to, and this is maybe what I want to bring up, because I know you're bring up all the criticism of Trump, especially on a geopolitical level. And I'm there with you. I understand that, and I do a show with Jim Josh as we've been analyzing this for over a year. But here's the thing to keep in mind. This is an interesting little factoid. The reason why Trump has to deal with the geopolitical situation is he's trying to suck in as much USD into the economy, because the economy is about to blow up. I started talking about this in late 2024, following the bond market collapse and the post Marshall Plan problem. Offshore dollar count, all that stuff, and that's all coming home. We started seeing it, as I predicted, in Japan in May. So now the Japanese bond market and the Japanese economy is completely screwed, and it's underwater, and it's dragging other economies down with it. So now we're starting to see even Europe saying we might have to go for IMF bailouts and all the rest of it. This has been something that they've been kicking this can down the road as far as they can, and finally the road's ended. It's ending in a gravel path, and it's time to start burying some bodies. So you're going to start seeing some major global economic problems starting in 2026, early 2026. It's amazing actually that it hasn't happened yet.
Wait,
but
I
they've
just have
been
a
pulling
question,
all this stuff.
Mustachio. How did the Russians do in naval combat?
Well, they don't really have much of a navy, so they
So
wouldn't.
I don't understand how you can concede. Look, I'm still stuck on this America #1. I'm sorry, Mustachio. I'm stuck here.
I'm
The
fine.
supply lines, like we have 11 super battle force carriers teams.
Yeah, but you don't have experience using them.
We
You don't have
cover the entire.
experience
We
using
mean
them.
they're out there. 7 are out there at all times, covering all globes of the water. We mean that's not using them. We are constantly out there using them. We're constantly
Look,
out there shooting barrels in the water. From experience, hold on. From
concede.
experience, with the F-22s,
I'm
we're
going to
out there
concede your point.
firing them all the time.
I'm going to concede your point because I'm a Canadian, born Canadian, and
You
I've
literally
learned,
use our trainer birds as your
stop,
fucking fighter planes.
Stop. I've learned long ago. I just concede to Americans on this point because it's like there's no talking to you about it, so it's fine. Just
okay.
Well, I think that the truth is that
America
without talking about which military would win, let me just say this: there's certainly a truth that like you need some mix of sort of the technology and competency. For example, if you have the most sophisticated military in the world, but you have brutally incompetent generals and people at the top, it's not going to get you very far. Simultaneously, you could have the most brilliant tacticians, but if you're so outclassed by heavy firepower and tech, you're also not going to get far. So the idea is, right, is there capable of a military that's able to be more competent and be more proficient with less technology and less money put into it? I think that's the case. I think that in a heads-up fight, I think the United States military beats any military in the world. But the problem is that's a relic. There aren't going to be heads-up fights like that anymore, right? It's going to be.
We don't fight it. We have the United States Air Force that runs with the 22 satellite fucking damage. We have smart bomb technology, which is patented and held by the United States military.
But Everest, that might all be true. How'd the United States do in Afghanistan?
I mean, I did pretty well.
Yeah, but as the whole, right? And I'm not saying that it's not like, yes, of course.
What do you mean how we do in Afghanistan? Literally, we can't blow anybody back to the Stone Age. That's already in the Stone Age.
Well, that's just it. But the point I'm trying to make, Avarice, is if your hands are tied, right, through incompetent leadership or through sort of rules of engagement that you're forced to abide by that your opponents aren't, then the overall effectiveness of your military in that conflict has to be weighed based on that.
I got it. We have these conflicts. I agree. We have these conflicts that are set conflicts where the image of America has to hold a higher ground. But when World War breaks out, the image of America no longer matters, and American soldiers get clever. And it's been shown time and time again. Let's go look at, Jake McNasty McNeese, who literally broke every rule of engagement across the line. Through all generals, said no to an F you to every general and said, I'm just going to kill me some Nazis, and sat on top of a bridge and mowed down 100,000 men single-handedly.
But if I can, Mark Milley's not that. He ain't that. The dude's wearing dog masks. The furry's wearing dog masks.
I just need that one airman, that one Marine, that one army man that has the American spirit that will obliterate every army in front of them. From the minute we had Daniel Morgan on the front of his lawn saying, "Get off my lawn," all we've ever needed is a single American against any goddamn army.
Here's an interesting little bit of fact, and this is something to keep in mind and keep tracking as this narrative unfolds over the next few years. I made a comment before Trump actually won the presidency that he was being installed, and I think he was being installed by groups like the Carlyle Group and private equity. We don't have enough time here I can list all the reasons why I think that's true. One of the big things is that Carlyle Group was basically formed at the end of the Cold War to buy up and start managing all the missile defense systems. It was a company behind SDI, Star Wars, that whole thing, right? There have been a few politicians over the years that really pissed off Carlyle. One of them being Obama, especially, right? He basically went over and started firing all the general staffs, right? So he replaced most of your generals with a whole bunch of bullshit. Most of those guys went over to Carlyle. So now Carlisle is rumored, right? There's no actual evidence of this, hard evidence of this, but they're rumored that they have about a 700,000 man army that's private, just kind of sitting in a bunker somewhere. These are the guys to worry about, because these are the guys who want the Iron Dome. Trump's big plan to build a big giant Iron Dome across America. That's Carlisle, right? That's all Carlisle. So when you start tracking the interests of private military, let's say the military industrial complex that is privatized, that is private equity, and Carlisle being one of them. The other big ones are out of Gundo, right? You've been following the Gundo guys, American Dynamism. That's like Peter Thiel, like it's kind of connections. That's the other node to be watching on this. These guys are going to put you guys into war. You're going to be in war pretty soon. So you're going to find out how great the American
but it's not going to be. I don't think it's
war.
going to be a world war like that. I think that it's possible that things like that could break out, but I think it's going to be more of these proxy wars. We'll find ourselves in a place like Venezuela. We'll find ourselves in a place like Syria again, or something like that. That's what it'll be. And then, much like Russia is facing our proxy Ukraine, we'll be facing a proxy of China or Russia in areas across the world.
Turkey.
Let me be clear. Yeah,
Turkey.
So, Everest, let me be clear. I'm with you 100%. In a no rules United States versus any country in the world, the United States wins with our military, despite the fact that I think that at this point, the leadership of a country like Russia probably has more competent leadership. But let's be honest though, like it wasn't at first. Like I think they were shocked at how poorly they performed at the beginning of the Ukraine conflict. I really do. I think that they've sort of, because they've been fighting so much, where is the experience that
that's a false narrative.
Well, I don't think they did near as well as they expected. You think they did?
When Russia first moved their troops into Ukraine to surround Kiev, Georgia. They're doing the same tactics they did in Georgia. They're moving their troops in to pressure Zelensky to sign the Minsk deal that was in front of him. That's when Boris Johnson came over there and scooped the deal. At that point, they thought they had the deal signed. It was like on the 11th hour, Boris Johnson and the British told the Ukrainians not to do that, and then the Ukrainians struck. So what the Russians had to do is reverse tracks back into Russia. That's why they lost all that territory. That was the big narrative, right? The big giant narrative when there was like the ghost of Kiev and the guys showing up all the big media videos of like Ukrainian soldiers, but with the cardboard guns and all that shit. It was all bullshit, all of it. Right, it was Russia retreating back to a defensive line, and then they held the line, and then they moved forward, which is what Russia does.
You're still forgetting the sleepers here in America. And this is what you're looking at. You're forgetting about the sleeper of all the people. Like, yes, you say, oh, these men in the military currently could be, but you're forgetting all the men and the young men that aren't in the military, that are back alley farm boys sitting at home with their guns, shooting cans all day, waiting for somebody to come to their lawn because they recognizing that the military isn't ready for that kind of, let's say, if we want to put alpha male kind of perspective in that military yet. But once war hits, like in World War II, America gets all the little sissy guys in the front. Then as soon as we swing in and America goes to war, every fucking backwoods man with a gun joins the military. No questions asked. The draft barely needed, because it was barely needed during World War II. We can show this because everyone with a gun showed up. America, when is needed, men with guns show up. Absolutely, 100%.
Let's just put it this way.
Final word. I got a bunch of super chats, and I got to be out at 12:30. So
we'll make peace on this, right? Russia has the most powerful military in Europe, right? In the Eurosphere, there is no military. NATO cannot mount an offense against Russia right now. If they put any this is why Poland and many other countries are saying we're not doing that, because if they mounted an offense into Russia, they would get destroyed, right? They don't have the experience, they don't have the men, they don't have the training, they don't have the equipment in Europe. Can we agree on that one?
I agree that's the case.
There we go.
I mean, okay, Europe maybe. I mean, if you're thinking that whole, there's China. There's China.
China and Russia are not going to work against each other.
Yeah. Yes, but
no,
I mean, it's still
not in this
military size. Yeah, but still military size.
All right. Well, hey, I do appreciate it. Give your channel a shout out. What do you got coming up? Now I know originally, are we still streaming tomorrow night?
On Wednesday night.
Oh yeah, that's Wednesday, not tomorrow. Yes, we're still on for that, but we've changed what it's going to be about, correct?
Yeah, I was going to do a friend or fed, but we're actually going to. I think we're going to talk about Christian nationalism. If you're up for that,
I'm up. I think it's great. It'll be great. What time are you thinking of going Wednesday?
I think we said 9, but if we can move that to 8, I think that'd be even better.
8 o'clock. Yeah, let me write that down. That's no problem at all. I could
on
do that. And then, of course, then the day before, that'll be a nice little right before Thanksgiving.
Right?
I think that's nice. So,
isn't it? It's so nice.
Are you streaming?
A little talk before you feast. Look at this.
Are you doing anything today or tomorrow? Anything coming up in your channel?
I'll be talking with the elder Jim Jatras later on tonight, I guess in your time. It's probably around 10 p.m. Central. We'll be talking about the Ukraine and Russia, this peace plan as it is. And
what do you think of that? Give me the 30-second. What do you think so much for what you know?
It's a pause.
That's what I think.
They're getting desperate. The Ukrainian front is collapsing in real time. So if they don't do something soon, Russia will be in Kiev by May.
Oh, tomorrow is Wednesday. That's right. Yeah. Right. So we are on Tuesday. No, today's Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday. Yeah. Sorry. Tomorrow. Yeah. Sorry. I'm in Australia, mate. So I'm in Wednesday right now.
A Canadian
damn Australia!
On the 26th. On the 26th. Real.
How do you go from Canada to Australia?
We flew
airplanes. But wait a minute. What about the ice wall? Never mind.
Yeah,
don't answer that.
We don't talk about the ice wall.
Yeah.
All right. Broke through subsonic missiles.
We put your channel out there, so please go check out the channel. I'll be over there tomorrow night.
It's great having.
Now we're talking 8 p.m. Eastern. Great talking to you, and I can't wait to talk tomorrow. It's going to be great. By the way, line up tomorrow. Me, you, Jake Rattlesnake.
No, just me and you. That's
okay.
It.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good to me, man. Good. We cut out all the fat. We trimmed up. Well. In a sense, we trimmed out.
What do we need all these other people for? What
That's
are we
right.
doing?
That's right.
Come on.
All right, man. Hey, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow evening. Good.
Thank you, brother.
All right, take it easy. Yeah, I got confused.
Now,
like,
how would your partner and co-host feel about that? I mean, honestly,
Jake being cut out. Look at him, furious, nonplussed. That's Dark Side Deacons, whatever. Amanda chained to the oven. Chained to the oven. $10 for the love of grifting. Thank you. Our good friend Zach Gelpy again. Another $20 says the beard with no mustache is the big giveaway. See, I'm not even thinking. I'm just like, here's some asshole. But yes, that was good. Hunter Killer $2 says the little beard is high fashion in the UK. I hear it's all the rage in London. How long Nate $5 says lights need to go up for the excellent conversation we're witnessing. Thank you. Fretzy $5 says Muslims generally can't understand hypotheticals at all. If that's the case, there's no way they could even touch AI tools. Laughing my ass off. Nate $5 says the E4 group has too much estrogen to be effective today. Gavin Freenan $10 says
E4 Mafia is what he's talking about.
Yeah. Some people are still patriotic. They forget you have to be real sometimes and honest with the truth. Is the Russian military is most experienced with the new modern warfare, and we're not. Simple as that. I mean, yes, but I still think that the overwhelming might of the American people or the American military and its people would win in a full blown out. I remember when I debated, I had this guy, Phil Kerpen. He told me this once. He's like, you know what the biggest Air Force in the world is? The United States Air Force. You want to know what the second biggest Air Force in the world is? The United States Navy. Want to know what the third biggest Air Force in the world is? The United States Army.
Yeah.
I mean, that's devastating, and it's true.
What I was trying to say is when we have the supply line, it's hard to say this. Like, everyone will be like, oh, yeah, they'll fight. Okay, where's the boats? Where's the boats? You have to fight supply. There's the beginning. There's the war, the water. That's where it's all going to take place. We can say it's going to be in Turkey. We can say it's going to be okay. Yeah, we lose the European theater. That's not the war. They can't hit us. They can't hit the supply lines. We have the boats. We have the aircraft carriers, and no aircraft carrier has yet to come close. China tried, and they sunk. It sunk when it hit the water. It literally sunk when it hit the goddamn water. Like, what do you want to do?
Zach gives $10, says tomorrow's Wednesday. I suppose we reach the goal. I should do I still can't do it like Jim Bob, but we'll try. Go! 20 seconds, not bad. It's no 47 seconds. I'm calling bullshit. I think Jim Bob used some kind of robotic enhancement to be able to say it for 47 seconds.
AI.
So I'll be back at 10 o'clock tonight. We're going to just do a regular show. We'll be on with Jason tomorrow. Mir and Chuck. There, I said it right now.
We're going to be on tonight?
Yeah, 10 o'clock tonight.
Tonight,
I'll
you
be on.
say?
Yeah. Is it Andrew's not doing his invasion tonight, is he?
There is an invasion tonight. That's why I was confused.
Son of a bitch. I thought it was supposed to be last night. Then I saw he was debating. So whatever. I'm still streaming at 10 o'clock. No issue. If people are over at the invasion, that's not an issue whatsoever. By the way, did you watch that debate last night? How'd Andrew do?
I mean, he crushed. I mean, I kind of dipped out halfway because he was already. I got tired of Andrew crushing them too much. It was
Connor.
The obliteration.
Look,
I mean, no, Connor, right? He did give Connor at the end, like, a really, like, yeah, Connor gave him a good platform and stuff. But I mean, at the end of the day, the debate, you can just tell Andrew just crushes debates.
Yeah. Connor, there's not a lot of love lost between Connor and me. I'll just say that. So happy to see him lose a debate. All right. For all of you out there, thank you so much. Everyone who donated, thank you so much. Everyone who watched, everyone who called in, everyone who commented, everyone who liked, thank you. Special shout out to my mods. Shout out to Avarice. Shout out to my editor, Black Elk. Thank you all so much.
We'll see you tonight.
Yes. God bless you all. Please never forget the memory of Charlie Kirk. What a great man he was, and how the left killed him, and it continues to this day to mock his wife, who has now admitted that she's pregnant, and they're mocking her for that. So never forget that. God bless Charlie Kirk. God bless his family. God bless all of you. We'll see you tonight around 10 p.m. Eastern. Have a good one.
Only in America is it possible to say, you know what, I don't like the way the country is going, and to do something about it. Take that risk. Take that leap of faith. Stay involved. Trust God and act obediently. Romans 12:2 verse. That God will use all things for good for those who love him. It's bigger than you. I want you to remember that. It is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. You are here to make somebody else's life better, the pursuit of liberty and freedom. You know what gives me strength? The hundreds of thousands of you that say, Charlie, keep going.
1 Corinthians 5 and 15. So that's all pretty amazing evidence, not just intra-biblical evidence, but extra-biblical evidence that Jesus Christ was a real person. He lived a perfect life. He was crucified, died, and rose on the third day, and he is Lord and God of all.